Chapter 691. Wisps of sword chi flowed in the bone-chilling lake water. Ning Fan hugged little Dugu tightly in his arms and carefully protected her. At this moment, he temporarily possessed the cultivation of a life immortal, so he was naturally not afraid of these sword energies. If it was the old him, even if he used his full strength, he would still be injured by the sword chi in the lake. Gradually, Ning Fan discovered that little Dugu seemed to be innately unafraid of the sword chi here. With her around, the sword chi that wanted to attack Ning Fan retreated one by one, not daring to attack. Ning Fan lowered his head. He noticed that the face of the little girl in his arms was pale. Her eyes were flashing with sword light. She seemed to be using some kind of secret technique to restrain the sword chi in this place. He could not help but feel a great sense of pity in his heart. He gently kissed little Dugu's forehead and said gently, "Rest, I will protect you." Little Dugu responded softly and dispersed the sword gleam in her eyes. She could also tell that Ning Fan, who was at the life immortal realm, was not afraid of the sword chi of the sword lake at all. That's good. As she nestled in Ning Fan's embrace, even the cold lake water felt warm. She looked at Ning Fan with an incomparably precious gaze, as if she was looking at a precious treasure that she would risk her life to protect. She didn't dare to show such a bold gaze in the past, but after seeing the reflection in the lake, she didn't avoid it anymore. 1,000,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet, 10,000,000 feet, he did not know how deep he had dived. The coldness of this place was already enough to hurt him who had a life immortal realm cultivation base. Just as he was worried that the person in his arms would not be able to endure the coldness of this place, he realized that her cheeks were rosy and her eyes were closed. She snuggled in his arms and actually fell asleep comfortably. This little girl, isn't she afraid of the sword chi and cold chi here at all? Ning Fan chuckled and shook his head. He was most worried about little Dugu. Since little Dugu was fine, he was naturally not afraid of the cold. Every strand of Ning Fan's hair and glabella turned into ice. Even his blood felt like it was about to freeze. Just as he was about to lose the cold, he finally saw the bottom of the lake. In the thick layer of sand, there were more than a dozen zombies that had frozen into ice. They were dressed in the clothes of the ancient Xia kingdom, and they should be the experts who had followed Emperor Xia into this place. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the crowd. None of them were women. Although he didn't know what Meng Bingyun looked like, she should at least be a woman. Her corpse wasn't here. Speaking of which, it was said that the secret to becoming an immortal was hidden at the bottom of the lake. Where was the secret to becoming an immortal? Ning Fan carried little Dugu, who was sleeping soundly, and leaped forward to search the bottom of the lake. After a long time, he found a crystal palace in a coral reef. This palace was equipped with a waterproof formation, and there were 2 stone statues of heavenly sword-wielding gods standing outside the palace gate. When Ning Fan tried to approach the palace, the 2 stone statues suddenly shone. They turned into 2 half-step life immortal realm heavenly deities wielding swords. Their empty eyes stared at Ning Fan. At the next moment, they charged at him. Destroy. Ning Fan just casually lifted one of his fingers and pointed at them. Relying on his powerful cultivation base, he killed the 2 heavenly deities without using any of his abilities. After the 2 Empyrean gods died, they turned into 4 sword-wielding Empyrean gods. Ning Fan raised his finger and destroyed them. After the 4 heavenly deities wielding swords died, they turned into 8 people. Ning Fan knitted his brows. The more he killed, the more heavenly deities holding swords appeared. What a strange ability. If they continue killing like this, thousands of heavenly deities would appear. Even if Ning Fan had a life immortal realm cultivation base, he would still die in the encirclement of a group of rogue immortals. Void Vortex. With a point of his finger, a massive illusory vortex appeared at the bottom of the lake, sucking all the shadows of the heavenly deities into the vortex. Gradually, the energy of the shadows of the heavenly deities was depleted and they turned into green smoke, dispersing. As for Ning Fan, he calmly carried little Dugu and walked into the crystal palace. Where is this place? Little Dugu woke up and gently jumped out of Ning Fan's arms. However, Ning Fan held her hand again. I don't know. Follow me closely and be careful. Ning Fan pulled Little Dugu closer to him. After all, this was an unfamiliar place. Now that Emperor Xia was not with him, Ning Fan had to protect Little Dugu alone. Thus, he needed to be more cautious. There were coral decorations, crystal tables and chairs, gold and jade utensils. There were many empty sword scabbards hanging on the walls. There were also some portraits of mountains and rivers. Occasionally, there were portraits of people. All of them were powerful immortals who could fly in the sky and travel through the earth. They were all extremely terrifying figures who could destroy a world with a lift of their fingers. Along the way, Ning Fan noticed that the layout of this place was very similar to a lady's boudoir. He could not help but speculate that this might be the boudoir of the sword ancestor. Even though there were heavenly deities guarding the outside of the crystal palace, there was no danger within the palace. This was slightly out of Ning Fan's expectation. Along the way, Ning Fan noticed that there was actually a room that was tightly shut. Inside the room, there was a dense sword qi. Other than that, there was actually a trace of extremely weak qi of a living person. There was actually a living person in this place. Ning Fan's vigilance instantly rose to the peak. His spirit sense penetrated the door and spread into the room. As soon as he saw the scene in the room, he was stunned at first. Then, he fell silent. Who is it? An extremely weak female voice came from inside. Senior, are you Meng Bingyun? Ning Fan asked indifferently. You. How do you know who you are? The lady looked like she would die at any time. I was entrusted by Xia Wuyo to look for Meng Bingyun's remains. However, I didn't expect that Meng Bingyun is still alive. However, isn't living like this more painful than dying? Ning Fan closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. A gust of sword wind blew past and the door of the room slowly opened. Dugu Qing's cold eyes looked into the room. At the next moment, she also fell into silence. Inside the room, there was a mysterious sword formation. The flying swords used in the sword formation were the swords of the Crystal Palace. The empty scabbards that Ning Fan saw earlier had already been taken away by someone to set up the sword formation. A lady sat cross-legged at the center of the sword formation. Her body was so illusory. She was just a trace of her remnant soul. The sword light in the sword formation would pierce her illusory remnant soul every once in a while. That pain naturally didn't need to be described. That lady was Meng Bingyun. She was not beautiful, but her eyes were more stubborn than most men. The sword formation that she set up was called Death-Suppressing Formation. This formation was an immortal sword formation. It required a large number of immortal swords to suppress the souls of the dead, preventing them from entering the cycle of reincarnation. However, the remnant soul of the dead would have to bear the pain of 10,000 swords piercing their hearts every day. They would lose their physical body, their cultivation base and everything else. In the end, only a trace of their remnant soul would be left in this world. Wu Yu. You said that you were entrusted by Wu Yu. He is still alive. Is he well? Meng Bingyun's eyes glistened with tears. She had waited for 6 million years but she had never cried. She had to bear the pain of 10,000 swords piercing her heart every day. However, when she suddenly heard about the news of her beloved, she could not help but shed tears. He is at the bank of the Sword Lake. A person can only enter this lake once. The second time he enters, he will definitely die. He couldn't come in. He tried for 6 million years but to no avail. He had always wanted to find your remains and asked me to enter the Sword Lake. However, he didn't expect that you are still alive. If he knows about it. Just as Ning Fan's voice fell, Meng Bingyun suddenly begged. Don't let him know. Don't let him know that I'm living in this way. If he knows about it, he will feel sad, guilty, and blame himself. I don't want him to blame himself. I'm content knowing that he is still alive. I'm content knowing that he finally has a shadow of me in his heart. You should leave now. Tell him that he can't find Meng Bingyun's remains. Make him forget about me. What if I insist on bringing Senior away and let you meet Senior Xia? Ning Fan asked indifferently. I would rather die than meet him. When you bring me out of the sword formation, I will certainly die. Meng Bingyun closed her eyes sorrowfully. It was not that she did not want to meet him. She just did not want him to feel sad and blame himself. She did not want him to see her in her worst state. Ning Fan remained silent. He had promised Emperor Xia that he would bring Meng Bingyun's remains back. Now that Meng Bingyun was still alive, he naturally had to bring her back. However, Meng Bingyun insisted on not returning. If he forces her, she would seek death. Ning Fan felt troubled. He shook his head and felt that women's thoughts were really complicated. Didn't Meng Bingyun suffer for 6 million years just to see Emperor Xia? She could obviously meet him now, but why didn't she? Little devil Ning, can you leave for a while? I will help you persuade her. Little Dugu looked at Ning Fan seriously. Her eyes seemed to be saying 3 words. Trust me. Ning Fan was stunned. After thinking for a while, he felt that perhaps it was more suitable for a woman to persuade another woman. All right. I heard that the great secret of ascension to immortality is hidden at the bottom of the Sword Lake. It is most likely in this crystal palace. I will go and search again to see if there is any great secret of ascension to immortality. Ning Fan squeezed little Dugu's soft palm and smiled. Then, he turned around and left. Little Dugu walked into the room and looked at Meng Bingyun with sympathy and tenderness. Can I call you Big Sister Meng? Yes. Ning Fan did not eavesdrop on their conversation. Since he had chosen to believe in little Dugu, he would continue to believe in her. After walking around the Crystal Palace 3 times, Ning Fan still could not find any great secret of ascension to immortality hidden in this palace. Not to mention that there was no great secret of ascension to immortality, there was not even a single pill or Dao crystal. Originally, there were some immortal swords hanging on the walls. However, Meng Bingyun had already arranged them into a sword formation. Thus, there was no fortune in this palace anymore. The rumor of the great secret of ascension to immortality is really just a rumor. Shaking his head, Ning Fan stood outside a bedroom. It was the bedroom of the sword ancestor. He did not immediately go to find little Dugu. This bedroom was only 100 steps away from the room where little Dugu was. Ning Fan decided to wait for little Dugu here. He sat beside the crystal table and played with the empty wine cup on the table. His eyes swept around the bedroom. On the wall, there was also an empty scabbard. The immortal sword was most likely taken away by Meng Bingyun. Other than that, there was also a painting hanging on the wall. It was the portrait of the back of a lady in white robes. She was a very gentle lady. Her long black hair was fluttering in the wind. One of her hands was gently pressing her temples. The side of her face that was slightly revealed seemed to be wearing a smile. However, it was hard to see clearly. That figure looked a little familiar. He seemed to have seen it somewhere before. That's right. It's the back of the sword ancestor. Ning Fan had seen the back of the sword ancestor several times. Each time, he would slaughter the heavens and step on the white bones under his feet. All the gods and devils in this world are ants. If I break my sword, there will be no martial arts in this world. He still remembered the cold and domineering words of the sword ancestor, regarding all the gods and devils in this world as ants. He did not expect that such a cold and indifferent lady would also smile. Such a gentle figure did not look like someone who had killed all the gods and devils at all. Wait. Ning Fan suddenly rose to his feet and looked at the painting in disbelief. There was actually a butterfly in the painting. The sword ancestor was smiling at the butterfly. The moment he saw the butterfly, Ning Fan's mind went blank. After a long time, his eyes gradually became clear. That butterfly seems to be from one of my previous lives. Did I see the sword ancestor in my previous life? Ning Fan remained silent. He walked closer and took down the painting. He held it in front of him and studied it carefully. Gradually, Ning Fan's mind could not help but sink into the painting. In a valley with dense flowers and plants, a lady in white robes was sitting on the ground, hugging her knees. Her face could not be seen clearly, but the smile on the corner of her mouth could be clearly seen. She gently raised her hand and reached out to tease a butterfly in front of her. Then, she said with a faint smile, "Little butterfly, why do you want to go to the outer realm gate? Do you really want to go to the Zido immortal region? I have been guarding the gate for so many years. I have seen all kinds of intruders and killed all of them. You are the only one who surprised me. You are so weak. It's impossible for you to pass through the gate." The butterfly fluttered in the air. It seemed to be a little impatient and did not want to talk to this talkative lady. "You have quite a temper. If I didn't show mercy to you, you would have died even if you are an immortal emperor. Do you know that you are the first person in my life that I can't kill?" "No, it's the butterfly. If the immortal sovereign Huang Gu finds out about this, I'm afraid that he will punish me." There were 10 black suns in the sky. This place was not the Zido immortal region. Ning Fan opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with great astonishment. He kept the ancient painting and his heart could not calm down for a long time. Even though he did not find any great secret of becoming an immortal in the Crystal Palace, he learned something even more shocking. The sword ancestor was not from the Zido immortal region. The sword ancestor came from another immortal region. The immortal sovereign of that immortal region was called Huang Gu. Could that immortal region be called Huang Gu immortal region? Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly gloomy. It seems like the butterfly also came from the Zido immortal region. Is the butterfly also from the outer region? Ning Fan came from the outer region. Little devil Ning, let's go. Sister Meng has agreed to go with us. While Ning Fan was deep in thought, little Dugu and Meng Bingyun slowly walked into the room. Ning Fan's brows relaxed and he shook his head in a self-deprecating manner. Be it the Zido immortal region or the Huang Gu immortal region, these questions were not things that he should consider. Just like what immortal sovereign Zido had said in the tribulation of life and death, there were some things that he should not know now. These questions were too far away. The only thing he wanted to know now was the relationship between him and the sword ancestor in his previous life. However, it seemed like he could never find the answer to this question. "Madam, have you really convinced Senior Meng? I am ashamed of my inferiority to you." Ning Fan imitated the manner of a scholar and made a deep bow to little Dugu. Little Dugu's face turned red from his words. "You're not serious at all." Little Dugu let out a soft snort. Her eyes were filled with happiness. "You don't need to know what I said to Sister Meng. Just bring us away from the Sword Lake now." "All right. However, I have to trouble Senior Meng to stay in the Yuanya world for a while. Your remnant soul is weak and it cannot be corroded by the cold qi." Ning Fan stroked the Yuanyao jade. After getting Meng Bingyun's consent, he kept it in the Yuanya world. Then, he held little Dugu's slender waist and turned into a ray of light, heading straight to the Sword Lake. There was also a time limit for lending the power of primordial spirit. Ning Fan's cultivation base was slowly falling back to the 6th break realm. He must return before his cultivation base completely falls. On the shore of the lake, Emperor Xia stared at the surface of the lake blankly. While recovering his magic power, he was recalling the past. Whenever he thought of the woman who loved him deeply, his heart ached. However, he could only close his eyes and let out a long sigh. I hope that little friend Ning can find Bingyun's remains. If he can't. Sigh. Emperor Xia's expression was bitter. Humans are despicable. They don't cherish what they have when they have it and they regret it when they lose it. If he listened to Bingyun and did not go to the secret place to explore, if he had given that woman some love, unfortunately, there are no ifs in this world. She has already passed away. A ray of light broke through the surface of the lake. It was Ning Fan and little Dugu. As soon as Ning Fan returned, Emperor Xia, who was sitting cross-legged to meditate, suddenly stood up. His golden eyes were filled with nervousness. Little friend Ning, I wonder if you have found Bingyun's remains. Emperor Xia clenched his fists tightly and his wrinkled face was tense. He had never been so nervous in the past 6 million years. Before Ning Fan could speak, little Dugu stepped forward with light steps and said indifferently. There are no remains of elder sister Meng at the bottom of the Sword Lake. No remains, huh? Hee hee. Hee hee. Emperor Xia wanted to smile calmly, but he was unable to do so at all. His body, which was originally weak, suddenly coughed out blood under the great sorrow. Madam, you. Ning Fan was speechless. Is little Dugu purposely making Emperor Xia anxious? Little Dugu winked at Ning Fan, hinting him not to speak. She was here to fight for justice for Meng Bingyun. Meng Bingyun treated Emperor Xia so well, but she had always been neglected. Only when Meng Bingyun died, did Emperor Xia come to his senses. Meng Bingyun herself was reluctant to let Emperor Xia cough out blood. As for little Dugu, now that she and Meng Bingyun were good sisters, she naturally had to fight for justice for her sister. So what if Emperor Xia coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood? Serves him right. Little Dugu turned her head to look at Ning Fan and nodded with satisfaction. She thought to herself, my man is still the best. He is not obsessed with cultivation and abandons his wife. As she thought about it, little Dugu felt that Ning Fan was really a strange person. Which of the young men in other families was not full of fighting spirit to break through to the immortal path? They were either shouting slogans to go against the heavens and slay immortals, or they thought that they were the number one under the heavens. My man had no interest in becoming an immortal from the very beginning. He seemed to know what I want from the very beginning. Emperor Xia had lived for 6 million years before he understood it. My man had just started cultivating and he understood this principle. He cherished his family and loved ones very much. Men are indeed the best in my family. Little friend Ning, I want to be alone for a while. You guys can rest here for a while. When my magic power recovers, I will send you back to the snow border. As for what I promised you, I will certainly fulfill it. After that, I will make a jade tablet that can transmit voice across realms and give it to you. If the rain world is in trouble in the future, you can inform me at any time. If I fly with all my might, I can reach the rain world in 10 breaths at most. I will certainly slaughter all the enemies who come to your world for you. As soon as he finished speaking, Emperor Xia turned around and walked away step by step. Little Dugu had enough of fighting for justice. She then called out to Emperor Xia indifferently. If Senior Xia wants some peace and quiet, why don't you and Sister Meng have some peace and quiet together? 2 people. Sister Meng. Just now, Emperor Xia's heart was in a mess and he did not notice anything wrong with the way little Dugu addressed him. Now that he heard little Dugu's words, he was stunned. Why did she call Bingyun Sister Meng? She knows Bingyun. What does she mean by having some peace and quiet together with Bingyun? Could it be that they have found Bingyun's remains? Just as he was thinking about that, Ning Fan gently stroked Yuan Yaoyu. Then, he held little Dugu in his arms and flew to the other side of the Sword Lake. Then, he said to Emperor Xia, Senior Meng, we will wait for you at the other side of the Sword Lake. Light flashed and a blue-robed woman slowly appeared. She was not a beautiful woman, but Emperor Xia was mesmerized by her the moment he saw her. Bingyun. Why you? Emperor Xia rubbed his eyes in disbelief. He was sure that he did not see wrongly. The person standing in front of him was definitely Meng Bingyun. There was no mistaking her chi. However, Meng Bingyun was only left with a remnant soul. On her remnant soul, there were countless sword scars. The death-suppressing formation. The name of this formation instantly emerged in Emperor Xia's mind. All of a sudden, it was as if a dagger had pierced into his heart. He held Meng Bingyun in his arms in extreme agony. How much pain has she gone through for the past 6 million years? I'm the one who harmed her. I'm the one who let her down. From today onwards, no one is allowed to take her away from me. Wuyo. This is the first time you've hugged me. Meng Bingyun quietly nestled in Emperor Xia's arms and revealed a blissful expression. All of a sudden, she felt a little grateful towards little Dugu. If it wasn't for that little girl's persuasion, perhaps she would never be able to enjoy this moment of happiness. Chapter 692. At the bank of the Sword Lake, little Dugu hugged her knees and sat on the soft grass. She smiled faintly while playing with a stalk of grass in front of her. Ning Fan sat beside her and quietly looked at her side profile. The smile that came from the bottom of her heart made him feel lost. That smile really resembled the smile of the sword ancestor in the ancient painting. How could there be such a coincidence? Ning Fan smiled and shook his head. He reached out his hand and stroked Dugu's waterfall-like black hair. Today, Dugu did not resist Ning Fan's action of getting close to her. Instead, she took the initiative to lean her body against Ning Fan. The faint virgin fragrance entered Ning Fan's nostrils, causing him to hold his breath. He could not help but put his hand on little Dugu's soft waist. He could feel her softness through her thin shirt. His hand slowly moved upwards and slightly touched Dugu's soft and erect body. Dugu did not have any reaction. She just let out a light breathing sound. She fell asleep again. Ning Fan's affection faded slightly. He retracted his perverted hand and shook his head with a smile. He knew that Dugu must have trusted him a lot. That was why she could sleep in his arms without any worries. Moreover, she slept with him twice. Let's sleep. Ning Fan played with Dugu's black hair and recalled the scenes when he met her. He was not a good person after all. Therefore, he could protect her. A good person could not protect anything in this chaotic world. However, if it could make her happy, Ning Fan was willing to be a good person in her eyes for the time being. Perhaps from a certain point of view, I am also a good person. That was what Ning Fan thought. The people of the world had their own standards for judging good and bad. Suddenly, Ning Fan found his own standards. What is a good person? Well, it's a woman and a son. In this chaotic world, a person who is reluctant to leave his wife and son is a good person. Ning Fan quickly forgot about this question. He was not interested in the judgment of good and bad people. He had his own standards. Everyone thought that with Ning Fan's ferocious personality, he would certainly start a massacre in the 9 worlds once he had the qualifications to sweep across the 9 worlds. They did not understand Ning Fan. They did not know what he wanted. Ning Fan was not interested in ruling the 9 worlds at all. He did not like killing, fighting, and all the disputes in the cultivation world. He had already told the Rain Emperor that he was not interested in the Rain world, but the Rain Emperor did not believe him. His ambition was to surpass the 4 heavens, because only by reaching the 4 heavens could he become even more powerful. Only then can I protect the warmth behind me. After a long time, Emperor Xia and Meng Bingyun came to look for them. Meng Bingyun's complexion was much better. Her remnant soul had completely stabilized, while the Xia Emperor's complexion was ashen. Needless to say, the Xia Emperor must have paid an enormous price to stabilize Meng Bingyun's remnant soul. Given the Xia Emperor's abilities, even if he couldn't bring Meng Bingyun back to life, he could at least stay with her forever. Sister Meng. Little Dugu woke up just in time. She stood up and smiled at Meng Bingyun. Meng Bingyun looked at little Dugu emotionally and smiled intimately. Little sister Dugu, thank you, thank you. Dugu naturally knew what Meng Bingyun was thanking him for. While the two ladies were getting intimate with each other, Emperor Xia looked at Ning Fan gratefully, not knowing what to say. After a long while, he suddenly cupped his fists towards Ning Fan solemnly. His face was filled with gratitude, but he did not say a single word. The Xia Emperor understood this principle very well. Emperor Xia sent Ning Fan and Dugu back to the snow border. Then, he returned to the heaven border and stayed with Meng Bingyun at the old site of Xia country. Before he left, Emperor Xia gave Ning Fan more than 10 jade tokens that could transmit voice across realms. Any sound-transmitting jade tablet could send a message to the Xia Emperor in the lower realms, regardless of distance. If Emperor Xia received the message, he would immediately appear in the Rain world and destroy the invading enemies. With Emperor Xia around, even if Ning Fan ascends to immortality, the Rain world would not have any hidden dangers. It was indeed the right choice to go to the secret land of China. Time flowed like water. A year had passed. Ning Fan stayed in the Sword World for 1 year. Accompanying little Duga day and night was quite a pleasant thing. It was a very quiet life, far away from killing, far away from cultivation. He waited here for the old monster, who was still sowing the seeds of Tao. A year later, the old monster finally appeared in the Ice Snow Sword City. The old devil had created a small Kiliacosm treasure, and that acre of Tao land was inside the small Kiliacosm. After spending an entire year, the old monster was finally able to perfectly plant the Tao seed. Although he still had to wait for a few hundred years for the Tao seed to blossom and bear fruit, the old monster was still in a good mood. He went to see little Mei, who was sleeping soundly. On his way back, he was humming an inexplicable tune. You are my little Tao fruit. No matter how much I plant you, I won't complain, he returned home complacently. When the old monster saw Ning Fan, he was stunned at first, then quickly shut his mouth and put on a stern look. After a year, the old monster's cultivation base had already recovered to the peak of life immortal realm. If he wanted to recover to the true immortal realm, it would still take a few hundred years. He sealed his cultivation base, leaving only the loose immortal realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stay in the lower realms. There was a law in the 9 worlds that forbade the existence of life immortal realm cultivators. Master seems to be in a good mood. Has the Tao seed been planted? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Yes, it's planted. In another 300 years, no, 200 years, little Mei will wake up. My spear is already unbearably thirsty. The old monster laughed wretchedly. Ning Fan was instantly speechless. What kind of shit is this old monster's head filled with? He painstakingly saved his beloved wife just to satisfy his lust. Of course, Ning Fan wouldn't take the old monster's crazy words seriously. If the old monster was really a lustful person, with his cultivation base, what kind of woman can't he snatch? Ning Fan had a deep understanding of this point. Those who looked wanton and unrestrained on the surface were usually people who were true to their emotions. Little Ning, do you have something to say? The old monster's expression suddenly became serious. He could see that Ning Fan was waiting for him because he had something important to discuss. Ning Fan nodded and told the old monster about the ascension passage of the Rain world. Then, he asked, Master, if I ascend, should I go to the northern heaven or the eastern heaven? Of course, you should go to the eastern heaven. The old monster's answer surprised Ning Fan. 3 reasons. The old monster stretched out 3 fingers and said solemnly. The first reason is that there are no restrictions on your freedom when you ascend from the eastern heaven. If you ascend to the northern heaven, you must accept the quota of the Lost World Palace and serve the Lost World Palace. Damn! Why should my disciple serve the Lost World Palace? Since you found a free passage to ascend to the eastern heaven, you must go to the eastern heaven. If you want to go to the northern heaven after going to the eastern heaven, you can just use the eastern heaven gate to go to the northern heaven. It's just a matter of spending some Tao crystals. Of course, you can also choose to cultivate to the immortal realm and break the void to ascend. This is the second reason. The spiritual qi in the lower world is sparse and cultivation resources are scarce. Even though you are at the 6th break realm now, it's impossible for you to cultivate to the life immortal realm in the lower world without at least 1,000 years. Remember, these 1,000 years include all the methods you use to speed up your cultivation. Since you found a free passage to ascend, why don't you ascend? Go to the 4 heavens and then become an immortal. If you don't have any cultivation resources, you can just rob them. With your ability, you can probably become an immortal in a few hundred years. The third reason. Someone in the Eastern Heaven owes me money. He owes me 1 billion Tao crystals. Go and get them back for me. Damn it. I've always been the one who owes people money. Since when is it their turn to owe me money? The old devil's face turned red with anger. He took out a wrinkled yellow receipt and threw it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan was speechless. He felt that the reason why the old devil wanted him to ascend to the Eastern Heaven was because of this third reason. The other two reasons were nonsense. He looked at the receipt in his hand and kept it. The person who wrote the receipt was named Wei Wuji. Ning Fan naturally did not know this person and he did not take it to heart either. Ning Fan thought about it carefully. Actually, what the old devil said made a lot of sense. If he could ascend from the Eastern Heaven for free, why wouldn't he go? If he wants to go to the Northern Heaven in the future, wouldn't he just need to teleport there? He would just have to spend a little more money on traveling, but he did not need to be controlled by others. However, if he uses the passage to ascend from the Eastern Heaven through the Blood Slave Garden, wouldn't it mean that his days in the lower world were already very few? If he wants to, he could go back to the Rain World to search for the entrance to the Blood Slave Garden and the passage to ascend. He could leave the 9 worlds right now. However, he did not know when he would be able to come back. Would it be more suitable for him to stay in the Rain World for another 10 years to accompany his ladies? Have you decided? As a man, if you want to ascend, you should ascend to the Eastern Heaven. Do you understand? There are many wars in the Eastern Heaven. That's a battlefield for men. You should know that the thing I regret the most in my life is that I was born in the Northern Heaven instead of the Eastern Heaven. Sigh. What a damn pity. In order to collect his debt, the old devil really threw away all his moral integrity. He made it seem like Ning Fan was not a man if he does not ascend to the Eastern Heaven. Isn't it just 1 billion Tao crystals? I never knew that master is so greedy for what you have. Ning Fan said speechlessly. Nonsense. Am I that kind of greedy person? Would I force me to ascend to the Eastern Heaven just for 1 billion Tao crystals? Am I that shameless? The old devil snorted coldly, showing an expression of disdain towards money. Ning Fan was speechless. He was too lazy to argue with the old devil anymore. He said indifferently. All right. I have decided to ascend to the Eastern Heaven. 3 days later, I will leave the Sword World. My good disciple. Remember to collect your debt from Old Man Wei after you ascend to the Eastern Heaven. Humph. How dare you owe me money? The old devil's old face turned into a chrysanthemum flower. After thinking for a while, he took out a jade slip from his storage pouch and passed it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan's eyes flickered when he saw the contents of the slip. The jade slip recorded the follow-up cultivation method of the Black Demon Art, a secret technique and a divine ability. The name of the secret technique was Returning Fire Immortal Cultivation Technique. When breaking through the bottleneck of the life immortal realm, one's chance of becoming an immortal could be increased by about 5% if one's fire returned to spirit. However, the prerequisite for using this secret technique was to cultivate the Black Demon Art to the peak of the 7th level. The divine ability was a mid-grade immortal technique. Its power was close to that of a high-grade immortal technique. It was called Black Demon Escape. This was a type of immortal technique. Even a life immortal realm expert could only use it a few times. As for Ning Fan, he could only use it once at most with his broken 6th realm cultivation base. The Black Demon Escape could teleport him 10 billion li. Using it once was enough to exhaust all of Ning Fan's magical power. This was the old devil's special life-saving technique. After robbing someone's belongings, being chased by a group of life immortals, teleporting 10 billion li and disappearing without a trace, without this technique, how would the old devil dare to rob them? This technique contained a trace of the profound meaning of shrinking the earth into inches. If he could learn this technique, his chances of comprehending it in the future would be very high. Putting away the jade slip, Ning Fan looked at the old monster and suddenly knelt down. The old monster's nose suddenly turned sour. He didn't avoid this kneel and sighed, "After ascending, take good care of yourself. I'll be in the sword world. If there's any trouble in the rain world, I'll rush over with a ground shrinking. Don't worry. Go." The old monster turned his back on Ning Fan. Ning Fan stood up and stared at the old monster's back for a long time before turning around to leave. Perhaps to Ning Fan's, the old monster was more like a father. The first time he felt warmth was in 7 Apricot City, given by the old monster and Jiha. 3 days later, Ning Fan left the sword world. The old devil did not send him off. Little Dugu stood alone in the wind and snow, quietly watching Ning Fan step into the realm gate. From today onwards, she would be called Ning Dugu. The women of the sword world had no father's surname, only their husband's surname. Watching Ning Fan leave, she felt a little stifled in her heart. She knew that Ning Fan had ascended to the eastern heaven this time and there would be no news of him ever again. She knew why Ning Fan did not want to bring her along to ascend. There were still strong enemies in eastern heaven. Ning Fan might not be able to return alive. Why were Ning Fan's women rarely jealous? It was because they did not know if Ning Fan could live to the day when he was invincible in the world. They did not know if he could create a peaceful world where they would not have to worry about being in a precarious situation. It was not that they did not care. It was just that no one knew when they would die. This was the cultivation world, a world without any sense of security. The moment he stepped into the realm gate, Ning Fan suddenly turned his head and looked at Dugu deeply without saying a word. Suddenly, there was a sprout of an ideal that was growing in his heart. Perhaps, he could learn from immortal Emperor Zido and create a great world where there was no conflict so that the woman he loved could live a carefree life. "Wait for me," he said indifferently. Dugu nodded silently. What she did not know was that Ning Fan was not waiting for her return but for something else. He was waiting for a peaceful world. Before returning to the rain world, Ning Fan went to the demon world and the tree world. He had left a sound-transmitting jade tablet for Palace Origin and Lu Haoyue as well. If Palace Yuan and Palace Lu were in trouble, they could also ask Emperor Xia for help. After all, Emperor Xia only needed a few breaths to travel to a realm. It was extremely fast. For a true immortal, the 9 worlds were just their own backyard, and they could reach it in just a few steps. When Ning Fan finally returned to the rain world, Hong Yi had already brought her people back to the Endless Sea. She stayed in Yu Country because she wanted to protect Ning Fan's family. Now that Ning Fan had countless slaves, he did not need her protection at all. Then, Su Daozi returned to the rain world. The dignified leader of the 3 great rogue immortals in the heaven immortal world had become Ning Fan's slave. This matter shocked the 9 worlds. Almost everyone was afraid of Ning Fan's devil name. Apart from the old Yuan emperor, Su Daozi was almost the strongest person in the 9 worlds. However, he was captured alive by Ning Fan and turned into a slave. No one dared to go against Ning Fan anymore. Those who went against Ning Fan were either killed or taken as slaves. Their fates were miserable. After Tai Wu paid a huge price, Mu Luo stopped turning into a tree and regained his mobility. Yu Huang's remnant soul was also stabilized and freed from the Kesluo Bamboo Sea. When Mu Luo appeared in Yu Country with his rogue demon cultivation base, the 9 worlds shook again. The rain world had another rogue demon. After a deep conversation, Ning Fan passed the mental seal of Su Daozi, Lu Xiu, and the other experts to Mu Luo. Even the mental seal of Big Head was passed to him. With Mu Luo, Su Daozi, and Big Head, the 3 rogue immortals guarding the rain world, no one in the 9 worlds would dare to offend the rain world even if Ning Fan ascends to the immortal world. With Emperor Xia's presence, there was no need to worry about the people from the upper worlds. In this way, the rain world could finally be at peace. In this way, Ning Fan could ascend to the immortal world with peace of mind. He left nearly 70 million Dao crystals in Yu Country. With these Dao crystals, the old monsters who were stuck at the first level of destruction in the rain world could continuously break through to the second and third level of destruction. Of course, not everyone was qualified to use these Tao crystals. At least, the sons of the Rain Sovereign were not qualified. Only a small number of people could use it. All the useless pills, magic treasures and cultivation methods that he had were left behind. Ning Fan stood in the snowy 7-apricot city, recalling the past and muttering to himself. Ascension, he was not in a hurry to ascend to the immortal world in the next few years. Throughout these years, he owed his women too much. He wanted to stay behind temporarily to accompany them. He did not have the intention to bring his women along with him. It was safer to stay in the lower worlds. It was too dangerous to follow him. Ning Fan was a person who loved to take risks. If he dies, the women that he brought along with him would also die with him. Many people dreamed of ascending to the four heavens. However, Ning Fan knew that the four heavens was not a paradise. The battles there would only be more and the enemies there would only be more terrifying. Little cucumber, I want to go back to the divine space island. A lady walked to Ning Fan's back casually. All right. I will send you back. Ning Fan smiled and held Yu Linkong in his arms. Circles of fire ripples slowly appeared beneath his feet. As he took a step forward, he seemed to have become one with the entire heaven and earth. His magic power disappeared rapidly and was depleted in an instant. As for him, he traveled across 10 billion li in an instant and appeared at the ruins of the divine space island in the endless sea. Little cucumber, what kind of ability is this? It's so abnormal. You actually reached the divine space island in a single step. Yu Linkong was so surprised that she could not close her mouth. Ning Fan's face was pale. Inwardly, however, he was extremely satisfied with this black devil escape. With just a single step, his magic power was depleted, but he managed to travel a distance of 10 billion li. If he is really chased by any life immortal realm beings, he would disappear with just a single step. There was nothing for him to be afraid of. Do you want to learn? Ning Fan teased. Yes. Ning Fan casually flicked his sleeves. In an instant, a magnificent palace was built in the ruins of the divine space island. He placed Yu Linkong on the bed and kissed her slowly. Yu Linkong was enraged. She actually got sneak attacked by little cucumber. What the hell is this? She turned around and pressed Ning Fan under her body. Then, she began to peel off Ning Fan's clothes like peeling an egg. Ha ha ha. I've been waiting for this day. Little cucumber, you can tremble to your heart's content. Tonight, I will also fuck you until you want to die. I'll let you know how powerful I am. Chapter 693. Yu Linkong was done tormenting Ning Fan. She was about to die. She pushed Ning Fan away and went to sleep at the side. What a strange woman. Looking at her carefree manner, Ning Fan could not help but recall the scene when he bought her during the Pleasure Devil Islands auction in the past. Coercion, enticement, plucking, and finally borrowing her strength to increase his cultivation base. She was originally just a human cauldron, a partner, but unknowingly, she had left a place in his heart. Little cucumber, let's fight for another 300 rounds. I won't lose to you. In her sleep, Yu Linkong giggled foolishly. Her saliva had even wet the pillow. One had to admit that her sleeping posture was really bad. However, this scene made Ning Fan feel warm. It has been many years since we last got along well. Is she already at the void pierce stage? It seemed like her comprehension was already enough for her to break through to the grand void realm. She just needed some help. Ning Fan took out a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit and swallowed it. However, he did not refine it. He carefully hugged Yu Linkong, then his clone once again submerged into that extremely muddy and warm place. Traces of the void fragmentation realm's Dao fruit's power were transmitted to Yu Linkong through the joint. Ning Fan was helping Yu Linkong to refine the void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. Given his cultivation base, the speed of his refinement was naturally extremely fast, saving Yu Linkong a lot of time. It's so hot, the power of the Dao fruit flowed into Yulinkong's body, causing her delicate body to heat up. Ning Fan bent down and gently kissed Yulinkong. Then, he swallowed an absolute void pill into his mouth. His palms moved all over her body, helping her refine the power of the Dao fruit. Her magic power was slowly increasing. Yulinkong, who was in a daze, let out a soft moan. Unknowingly, the bottleneck of the absolute void stage was broken through by Ning Fan's ferocious charge. Yes. Yes, the drowsy Yulinkong instinctively catered to Ning Fan. When the great void tribulation cloud appeared, Ning Fan raised his hand and extinguished the heavenly tribulation, not giving it a chance to make any noise. How could his night of pleasure be interrupted by the damned heavenly tribulation? The next day, when Yulinkong woke up, she discovered in disbelief that she had actually broken through to the grand virtual realm. When he looked at his lower body, it was red and swollen, riddled with scars. His body was covered in red marks. It was too ambiguous. How could Yulinkong not understand that all of these were done by Ning Fan? Despicable. Taking advantage of this old lady's sleep, you actually dared to launch a night attack. And to make it so intense. There was no joy of breaking through to the next realm. Instead, there was only the humiliation of being ambushed by Ning Fan. Fuck. She was obviously the one who took the initiative, but Ning Fan actually turned the tables on her. Damn it. After I ascend, are you going to return to your country or stay on the Divine Space Island? Ning Fan asked with a smile. His lecherous hand reached out to Yulinkong's tender thigh and gently caressed it. I want to stay on the Divine Space Island. I want to rebuild the Divine Space Island. She began to pant softly. For a moment, she forgot to condemn Ning Fan. Thinking about it, she didn't seem to have suffered a great loss, so she decided not to denounce him. That's fine. You can keep this jade tablet. If there's a problem, you can send a voice transmission to the other end of the jade tablet. A senior with the surname Xia will come to your rescue. By the way, if you want to rebuild the Divine Space Island, I'll leave some manpower for you. After the two of them changed their clothes, they walked side by side out of the island. Ning Fan shook his cauldron ring and summoned Hua Yu and the other female members of the Light Feather clan. They're all your women. I really can't tell that little cucumber is so powerful. He has captured so many beautiful women. Yulinkong looked at Ning Fan disdainfully. Her tone actually carried a hint of jealousy. They aren't my human cauldrons, but they have some connections. They are members of the Light Feather clan that I saved from the demon world. After explaining with a smile, Ning Fan left Hua Yu and the others on the Divine Space Island. The Rain world had already been pacified. With Emperor Xia around, the women he loved would not be in danger wherever they want to go. This was the advantage of not ascending. If he ascends, he would probably be confined in the cauldron ring again, guarding an empty room. Pfft. I don't believe that they aren't your human cauldrons. Look at them. Each of their eyes is filled with love when they look at you. However, it seems like their primordial yin is still there. You really didn't do anything to them. Even though she said that she did not believe it, deep down, she did. Yulinkong raised her eyebrows. Her mood became much better. Even though she knew that Ning Fan practiced a dual cultivation method and had no choice but to pluck human cauldrons, she really did not like it. No woman would like Ning Fan to have too many human cauldrons. Forget it. I'll rebuild the Divine Space Island with this group of women as the foundation. Hee hee. Since little cucumber isn't in the Rain world, I can do whatever I want in the Internal Sea again. I can be a carefree and happy female devil lord. Yulinkong delightedly fantasized about her wonderful life without Ning Fan. While she was panicking, she also felt a little frustrated. Without little cucumber, who would she find to satisfy her lust? Damn it. She was not a casual person. Without little cucumber, she would die of suffocation. You heir, what do you think about that piece of land? The soil there is very fertile. Ning Fan seemed to have seen through Yu Lingkong's thoughts and pointed at a piece of land with fertile soil in the distance. The soil is indeed very fertile. Yu Lingkong nodded her head. We can plant a few acres of cucumbers. Let's build a frame and plant them. That way, the cucumbers will be straight and it'll be easier to do things. If we plant them in the ground, they will be more curved. However, maybe you like them a little more curved. Ning Fan teased her with a serious expression while looking at her ambiguously. Oh. Planting cucumbers. Yu Lingkong nodded her head. Suddenly, she realized the hidden meaning of Ning Fan's words. She stared at Ning Fan with extreme shame and indignation. Get lost. I won't use cucumbers to humiliate myself. I have hands. Hua Yu and the other female members of the Light Feather clan were stunned. They had yet to figure out the current situation. They did not know why Ning Fan asked them to join the Divine Space Island. However, it seemed like the Yu Lingkong in front of them was the Island Lord. However, isn't this Island Lord a little too tough? How could he say such shameful words so casually? His women are indeed not ordinary people. Hua Yu looked at Ning Fan and thought to herself speechlessly. After staying on the Divine Space Island for 3 months, Ning Fan went to the Internal Sea along the way. The Giant Devil Clan, the Six-Winged Clan, the Suppressed Misthorn Clan, the Destroyed Ghost Eye Clan. Pill Island, Sword Island, Dong Su Island. In the past, he was the strongest devil in the Internal Sea. Today, however, he was the Lord of the Rain World. After meeting the leader of the Giant Devil Clan, Old Ancestor Dong Su, Venerated Pill, and the others, Ning Fan went to the Zhou clan of the Internal Sea to meet Hong Yi. On the Bu Zhou Island in the Internal Sea. A few cultivators of the Zhou clan were patrolling outside the island. All of a sudden, a man in white robes walked towards them as if he was taking a stroll in a courtyard. His pace was not fast but his speed was way too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he had already appeared in front of everyone from a faraway place. Isn't he a divine transformation realm old monster? They vaguely felt that Ning Fan looked familiar but they could not recall that the person in front of them was the Devil Lord of the Internal Sea in the past. Is Hong Yi here? Ning Fan asked indifferently. It was a very simple question but it made the expressions of the few cultivators of the Zhou clan change drastically. Hong Yi was the name of the Thunder Sovereign of the Zhou clan. This time, when Hong Yi returned to the Internal Sea, she no longer concealed her identity as a woman. She announced herself to the world with the name Hong Yi. However, who in the world would dare to call the Thunder Sovereign by her name and call her Hong Yi? The few cultivators of the Zhou clan immediately showed expressions of anger. In their opinion, even if Ning Fan was a divine transformation realm cultivator, he was not worthy to call the Thunder Sovereign by her name. The leader of the few cultivators immediately took out a spiritual arrow and shot it into the sky to sound the alarm. Then, a large number of cultivators of the Zhou clan rushed to Ning Fan from Never Zhou Island and surrounded him. There was even a Void Refinement Realm Elder who was approaching Ning Fan step by step. However, what was strange was that the Void Refinement Realm Elder was extremely respectful towards Ning Fan while the cultivators of the Zhou clan were staring at Ning Fan with hostility. Don't be rude. This person is Master's honored guest. He is the Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. That Void Refinement Realm Elder was the third elder of the Zhou clan, Zhou Chen. In the past, his memories were destroyed by Ning Fan's memory-severing Dao sword and the knot in his heart was resolved. Today, his cultivation base had already reached the origin returning realm and breaking through to the void fragmentation realm was just around the corner. As soon as they heard the third elder's words, the expressions of all the cultivators of the Zhou clan changed. Sin. Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. He is actually the Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. A wave of cold air rushed from the soles of their feet to their heads. Everyone wore a respectful expression. How could they not know about the prestige of the Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign? Even a supreme being like Su Daozi had been taken in as a servant by the Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. The nefarious Cloud Rain Sovereign's contributions couldn't go unnoticed, as he was able to turn the weakest rain world into the strongest of the 9 realms. When they thought of how they had been eyeing Ning Fan covetously just now, many of them were filled with fear. I want to meet Hong Yi. Ning Fan cupped his fists towards Zhou Chen. He, Master has instructed that if the Rain Emperor comes, he can directly head to the Extreme Thunder Palace to meet him, Zhou Chen said respectfully. The current Ning Fan was no longer comparable to him. Thus, he naturally had to treat him with respect. Got it. Ning Fan took a step forward and his figure vanished into thin air before everyone's eyes. No one could clearly see where he went. Seeing that Ning Fan did not hold them accountable, all the cultivators of the Zhou clan heaved a sigh of relief. Zhou Chen revealed a bitter smile. Master seems to have really fallen in love with the Rain Sovereign. Apart from Master, no one else can enter the Supreme Thunder Palace. But she let the Rain Sovereign enter. In the Supreme Thunder Palace, Hong Yi was completely naked. Her body was soaking in a huge bath as she cultivated with her eyes closed. When Ning Fan stepped into the Extreme Lightning Palace, he saw such an alluring scene. Why did you come to find me? Hong Yi asked indifferently without even opening her eyes. I found an extremely secretive ascension passage and I'm about to head to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. That's why I came to see you and tell you about that passage. Perhaps you will need it one day. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he took out a jade slip and placed it on the edge of the bath. Hong Yi opened her eyes and stared at Ning Fan quietly with her blood-red eyes. For a moment, she was actually speechless. After a long time, she stood up with her body dripping wet. She was not afraid that Ning Fan would see her naked body as she walked towards him step by step. After walking out of the bath, she walked towards Ning Fan with graceful steps. Her fair and tender body was covered with water vapor. It made Ning Fan smile faintly. He had already tasted Hong Yi's body countless times during the life and death tribulations. The taste was really good. Is she going to throw herself into my arms? I'm sorry to disappoint you. I have no interest in you at all. I'm also not interested in ascending to the Eastern Heaven. If I want to ascend, I want to go to the ancient Devil's Abyss. Hong Yi looked at Ning Fan teasingly. Why would she throw herself into his arms? She did not have much interest in that jade slip. However, this jade slip was sent by him from thousands of li to her. With that thought in mind, she kept the jade slip in her hand. With a wave of her hand, the clothes at the side automatically draped over her body. Does my body look good? Hong Yi looked at Ning Fan teasingly. She had also asked Ning Fan this question in the past. At that time, how would Ning Fan dare to answer her? But now, you look good. I won't get tired of looking at you 100 times. The current Ning Fan had the guts to tease Hong Yi. This time, Hong Yi did not get angry. She also did not ask Ning Fan to watch his eyes. She was actually very satisfied with Ning Fan's answer. If you dare to say that I don't look good, I will certainly dig your eyes out. Even though her tone was cold, her blood-red eyes revealed a rare hint of a smile that went straight to the bottom of her eyes. She had once split her consciousness into 10,000 parts. One of them was his demon companion. He helped her resurrect and took revenge for her. In the midst of the life and death tribulations, he also had sex with her. If I ascend to the ancient Devil's Abyss one day and become a Devil Lord, would you be interested in becoming my Empress? Hong Yi asked teasingly. Ning Fan let out a few dry coughs. He was speechless. He had the potential to be a gigolo. Why did everyone want him to be their Empress? However, he believed that if Hong Yi ascends to the ancient Devil's Abyss, she would have the ability to become a Devil Lord. She was originally an extremely capable person. If she was not harmed by the Rain Sovereign in the past, she would probably have ascended to the Immortal Abyss a long time ago. From this perspective, shouldn't Ning Fan thank the Rain Sovereign for harming Hong Yi, which allowed him to meet her? I can't let this idea go. I have to forget, you're not willing. Hong Yi's blood-red eyes instantly turned cold. She had taken a fancy to him, but he actually dared to turn her down. "If I were to be your queen, would I be able to sleep with you?" Ning Fan asked in return. He held Hong Yi's wrist with one hand and used his other hand to knock the robe that was draped over her shoulder. Then, he held her wet and slender waist. "You! How dare you be rude to me? Get lost!" Hong Yi's cultivation base was obviously higher than Ning Fan's. However, when she was held by Ning Fan, her body actually felt numb and she could not exert any strength. Feeling Ning Fan's hand fondling her buttocks, Hong Yi panted softly. Her blood-red eyes gradually became blurry, but she said in a low voice. "Recently, I'm breaking through a small bottleneck. I shouldn't lose too much primordial red, is she begging me with a soft voice?" Even the dignified Thunder Sovereign Buzhou would have such a moment of begging. Ning Fan could naturally see that Hong Yi was about to break through her bottleneck. He was just teasing her and had no intention of doing anything to her. "Don't worry. I won't break your primordial red." However, Ning Fan's hands were roaming all over Hong Yi's body. He had no intention of letting her go at all. After fondling her for a long time, Ning Fan finally let go of her. At this moment, Hong Yi's face was flushed and her body was already wet. "It feels good. Get lost." Hong Yi uttered a single word coldly as if she was asking him to leave. However, her blood-red eyes were filled with embarrassment and anger. She was actually touched by him all over. "Damn it. All right. Let's get lost over there." Ning Fan purposely twisted Hong Yi's words. He carried her horizontally and carried her to the side of the bed of the Extreme Lightning Palace. Even though he could not have her for the time being, how could Ning Fan reject her request to have sex with him? He placed Hong Yi flat on the bed. She randomly picked up a pillow and threw it at Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan easily dodged it. The dignified Thunder Sovereign Buzhou actually used a pillow to hit someone without using magic techniques. Has he really fallen in love? "Don't worry. I won't break your primordial red tonight. Didn't you say that I'm your empress? Then, I'll serve you well." Ning Fan took off his outer clothes and pulled down the curtains. Then, he flipped onto the bed and pinned Hong Yi down. "You." Before Hong Yi could finish her words, Ning Fan had already sealed her red lips with his. One of Ning Fan's hands roamed all over her body while his other hand went to the ravine and played with the mud. "How dare you! How dare you! How?" Her soft curses eventually turned into soft moans. Hong Yi closed her eyes. She felt like she was surrounded by clouds and mist. She did not know what to do. She let Ning Fan fondle her and did not resist in the end. On the next day, Hong Yi woke up feeling extremely refreshed. She realized that she was in Ning Fan's arms and both of them were naked. She was annoyed at first, but soon after, she revealed a teasing smile. "You're awake. Is it comfortable?" Ning Fan teased. "You're indeed my empress. Your technique is top-notch. I'm very satisfied. You can continue tonight." "Empress." Ning Fan's face immediately darkened. Yesterday, he called himself the Empress just to tease Hong Yi. He really did not like this title. Seeing Ning Fan's dark expression, Hong Yi instantly felt much better. She decided that from today onwards, she would call Ning Fan Empress every day and night to anger him to death. "In another 2 months, it's almost time for me to go into seclusion to break through a minor bottleneck. I'll play for another 2 months and then chase this stinky man away." Just as she was thinking about that, Hong Yi could not help but let out a moan all of a sudden. It turned out that Ning Fan's hand had reached into a place where it should not be. "Empress. I don't have the mood to do this kind of thing with you now. Stop it now." "Stop it. As long as I'm in the mood." Ning Fan smiled meaningfully. "Calling me the Empress, huh? You have to pay a price for it. There are no more updates. Everyone can sleep early now. Chapter 694. 2 months later, Hong Yi went into seclusion again and chased Ning Fan away. Ning Fan used the Black Devil escape and returned to Yu country. That night, he rested in his room to recover his magical power. Deep into the night, the faint sound of a zither could be heard from the Si Fan Palace. Ning Fan was slightly proficient in music. He could vaguely hear a hint of homesickness in the zither music. Under the moonlight, Ning Fan pushed the door open and followed the sound of the zither. In a snow pavilion in the side courtyard, Su Qiuling, dressed in a light robe, was playing the zither with her eyes closed. Sensing Ning Fan's arrival, Su Qiuling unconsciously opened her eyes. She stopped playing the zither and said with a faint smile, "Big brother, why have you come?" "I came to see you." "Are you homesick?" Ning Fan sighed softly. Back then, he hadn't been powerful enough, and he was worried that Su Qiuling and the others would not be safe in the boundless sea and that they might be harmed by the Rain Emperor. Thus, he had brought them all back to the Yu nation. After all these years, the Rain world had been pacified. Su Qiuling must have missed her family in the Endless Sea. Also, Feng Shuiyan probably misses the giant devil clan as well. What about Su Yao? Does she miss the outer seas? What about Yalan? Would she miss the Lost World Palace too? What about Bai Su? Would she miss Gusu as well? I'm a little homesick. But before Su Qiuling could finish her words, Ning Fan had already carried her up gently. If you miss home, you can go back. In today's Rain Immortal world, you won't be in danger no matter where you go. Of course, you must bring this sound transmission jade tablet with you. Ning Fan had already taken Emperor Xia as his personal bodyguard without any restraint. He took out a voice transmission jade token and passed it to Su Qiuling. Then, he told her about the sound transmission jade tablet. Su Qiuling lowered her head, and her black hair covered her eyes, making it impossible to see her expression. Suddenly, a teardrop fell on Ning Fan's arm. "Why are you crying?" Ning Fan held his breath and hugged Su Qiuling tightly. "Why are you crying?" he asked gently. Su Qiuling did not say much. She just stretched out her arms and hugged Ning Fan's neck tightly, unwilling to let go. Reluctance, reluctance, reluctance. Needless to say, Ning Fan already knew that Su Qiuling was reluctant to part with Ning Fan. She was reluctant to see him ascend. She was reluctant to part with him in a grand parting that would last for thousands of years. No. He was not afraid of waiting for a mere 1,000 years. Instead, he was afraid that he might not be able to return once he leaves. Would he die? Would he die? Was he afraid that he would die fighting in the four heavens and be buried in a foreign land? As for someone as weak as her, she couldn't even go to the four heavens to look for her deceased husband's remains. "Right, I won't die." Ning Fan's words were filled with unswerving determination. This was a promise. Although Su Qiuling did not say anything, he knew all of her worries. Some people didn't need words to understand each other. "If you die, I will hate you for the rest of my life." "No, forever and ever." Don't cry. Tomorrow, I'll bring you back to the external endless sea to Gusu. We'll bring Su Yao and the others along. Xueyan too. Ning Fan helped Su Qiuling wipe away her tears. His actions were unusually gentle. "There's no need for Xueyan. When you weren't here, the patriarch of the giant devil clan had already come to Yu country to see her. He wanted to invite her back, but she wasn't willing to go back. She just wants to hang out with Ji He and the others, this little girl." Ning Fan was speechless. Feng Shuiyan and the other little girls don't cultivate or work. They just eat, drink, play, fight grass, throw pots, and fly kites every day. They really don't have the awareness of being a cultivator. However, wasn't this what Ning Fan was looking forward to? To let their hands not be stained with blood and let them live leisurely like ordinary women. How good would it be if the women he loved could live such a carefree life? A world where there were no conflicts. Teach me how to play the zither. Ning Fan suddenly smiled and said. When I miss home, I will play a song in the four heavens to listen to the accent of my hometown. All right. Su Qiling gently broke free from Ning Fan's embrace and sat down again. She closed her eyes and calmed herself down. Then, she played a song on the zither. The song she played was the song of the Yu people. It was the accent of Yu country. Accompanied by the melodious sound of the zither, her voice was clear like the sounds of nature. She would only sing for Ning Fan alone in her life. What night is it today? I'm on a boat in the middle of the river. What day is it today? I'm on the same boat with the prince. I'm humiliated and happy. I'm not ashamed. My heart is troubled but it doesn't stop. I know the prince. There are trees in the mountains and branches in the trees. My heart pleases the prince but he doesn't know. There are trees in the mountains and branches in the trees. My heart pleases the prince but he doesn't know. Fortunately, he understood all of her feelings. He understood all of them. Fortunately, she finally met him again in this life. In that life, she was the flower and he was the butterfly. The butterfly would not stay for the flower but the flower would wait for the butterfly. In this life, he was her husband and she was her wife. I only hope that your heart is like mine and I won't let you down. May you have a bright future and be invulnerable to all your enemies. May you and I meet again in the rain world. Su Qiling returned to Gusu. Gusu was located at the shore of the Pleasure Devil Sea. She could see her father and relatives anytime. It had been dozens of years since they parted from Gusu. One generation of mortals had been replaced by another generation. Only some elderly people still remembered the bloody massacre that Gusu had experienced in the past. Children did not know who Ning Fan was. However, the old mansion was still preserved. The Green Jade Immortal Island was moved back to the external endless sea by Ning Fan. Su Yao and the women of the Green Jade Immortal Island could also live in Gusu from now on. Yalan was already an early nascent soul realm cultivator. She did not return to the Lost World Palace but stayed in Gusu. Bai Su always prepared the dishes and wine for Ning Fan. She had never done anything out of line. Everything was said without saying anything. Ning Fan stayed in Gusu for 3 months and practiced the zither every day. He had already mastered the essence of the song of the Yu people. Su Qiling and Ning Fan played together with the zither every day. This kind of ordinary life was what she longed for. By the way, big brother, is little stone doing well? Su Qiling asked with a smile. Every time Bai Su came, she would bring some dishes and wine, just like in the past. She looked at Ning Fan. Every time she wanted to say something, she hesitated. In the end, she only said some words that had nothing to do with romance. Su Qiling was a person with a clear mind. How could she not know that Bai Su wanted to ask Ning Fan if her son was doing well? Little Stone is doing very well now. Besides, he seems to be getting married soon. Ning Fan said with a smile. What? My son is going to get married soon. Bai Su's face was filled with longing. Big brother, why don't you bring sister Bai Su to see Little Stone? How can there be a child whose parents are not present when they get married? Su Qiling winked playfully. Bai Su's face instantly turned red. Parents. She was naturally Little Stone's mother. As for Ning Fan, could he be considered as Little Stone's father? Ning Fan looked at Su Qiling, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He naturally understood the meaning behind her words. He had never had a son in his entire life. Now, he actually got a son for free, but Ning Fan looked at Bai Su who was beside him and sighed softly. He was the one who taught Little Stone the Tao of Sword. Hence, he could be considered as Little Stone's master. A master was like a father and a disciple was like a son. Since Little Stone was getting married, he should pay a visit. Young Master Ning, if you're not willing to go, you can tell me where Little Stone is. I can go by myself. Bai Su's current cultivation base was already at the peak gold core realm. She already had some strength to protect herself when she roamed the world. There's no need. I also want to see how much that child has grown. Without giving Bai Su a chance to object, Ning Fan wrapped his arm around her slender waist. Then, his figure flashed and they disappeared. Zhongshan Country, a coastal country in the outer sea. Zhongshan Country was a low-ranked cultivation country. Most of the people in the country were sword cultivators. There were two major sword sects in charge of the country. One was the Golden Light Sword sect and the other was the Sad Cloud Sword sect. Both of them had late gold core old ancestors. The Green Sword sect was a declining sword sect in Zhongshan Country. Its sect master was only a late harmonious spirit cultivator. Today, the Green Sword sect was holding a grand wedding banquet. The daughter of the sect master was married to the disciple with the highest aptitude in the sect, Shi Ming. Speaking of Shi Ming, everyone in the Green Sword sect sighed in admiration. This person was originally a swordsman from a mortal country. However, with just one sword, he defeated countless swordsmen from a mortal country. He even defeated many vein-opening sword cultivators. After he became invincible in the mortal world, he stepped into Zhongshan Country and began to challenge cultivators. With the body of a mortal, he became invincible below the harmonious spirit realm. This shocked the entire country. Countless sword sects offered him an olive branch, but he chose to join the Green Sword sect. As for the reason, it was naturally because he fell in love with the daughter of the sect master of the Green Sword sect, Feng Qing'er. Feng Qing'er was also an outstanding female swordsman in Zhongshan Country. She admired Shi Ming very much. The two of them fell in love with each other. The sect master of the Green Sword sect naturally would not stop this heaven-sent marriage. Moreover, this Shi Ming's cultivation speed was really terrifying. He had only joined the sect for 10 years, but he had already succeeded in the harmonious spirit realm. With an early harmonious spirit realm cultivation, he was invincible below the gold core realm in Zhongshan Country. Feng Qing'er has found a good husband. This old man has found a good son-in-law. Hee, after this old man's 100 years, the Green Sword sect will no longer have to worry. The sect master of the Green Sword sect was sitting in the main seat of the wedding hall. Looking at the loving couple below, he felt very gratified. Most of the guests below were fellow Taoists from the various last-flowing sword sects. Seeing Shi Ming and Feng Xing's beauty, they all offered words of congratulations. At this moment, a few discordant voices suddenly echoed in the night sky of the Green Sword Mountain. Humph! 3 months ago, Shi Ming killed an elder of my sect. He must give this old man an explanation. This Feng Qing'er is a good cauldron. Shi Ming belongs to your Golden Light Sword sect, and Feng Qing'er belongs to my Sorrow Cloud Sword sect. Several gold core old monsters' aura pressed down fiercely. The entire Green Sword Mountain immediately exclaimed. What? That's the Golden Light Ancestor and the Sorrow Cloud Ancestor. They don't come with good intentions, they don't come with good intentions. I heard that Shi Ming killed an early gold core elder of the Golden Light Sword sect 3 months ago. I didn't expect it to be true. Disaster. Disaster. The two great ancestors of Zhongshan Country appeared at the same time. Our Green Sword sect is facing a great disaster today. The Green Sword sect master walked out of the wedding hall with an ashen face. He was very clear about what happened 3 months ago. An early gold core elder of the Golden Light Sword sect wanted to abduct his daughter and pluck her. However, he was severely injured and killed by Shi Ming. It was because he saw Shi Ming's deep affection for his daughter that the Green Sword sect master was even more willing to marry his daughter to him. The Golden Light Sword sect was powerful. Even though his daughter was almost humiliated, the Green Sword sect master didn't dare to go to the Golden Light Sword sect to demand an explanation. Unexpectedly, the side that was obviously in the wrong still dared to demand an explanation from the Green Sword sect. This was too much. However, the Green Sword Sect Master also understood that this was the way of the cultivation world. There was no such thing as reason. If the opponent's fist was bigger, then they were in the right. Gritting his teeth, the Green Sword Sect Master cupped his fists at the few old monsters who were standing in the air. Today is my daughter's wedding day. I hope everyone can give this old man face. Before he could finish, the Golden Light Ancestor who was standing in the night sky already harumphed coldly. A vast magical power immediately hit the Green Sword Sect Master's chest, causing him to vomit blood and retreat. Face. You are merely a late harmonious spirit expert. Do you think you are worthy of this old man giving face? Quickly hand Shiming over, or else this old man will slaughter the entire Green Sword Sect today. Golden Light Ancestor sneered. Ha! Feng Qing Air is an excellent cauldron. You can't kill her too. She is already in this old man's bag. Old Ancestor Sorrow Cloud smiled evilly. Of course. Fellow Taoist Sorrow Cloud, rest assured. After this matter is over, this old man will wash this girl clean and send her to your residence. Golden Light Ancestor said lightly. Father. Feng Qing Air lifted the red silk on her head and rushed out of the wedding hall to support her father. Her eyes were filled with anger as she glared at the few old monsters who were standing in the sky. Shiming walked out of the wedding hall quietly. He didn't even look at the Green Sword Sect Master, but his face was terrifyingly cold. No one knew that Shiming's cold expression at this moment was very similar to the great devil Zhou Ming who ran amok in the external endless sea. He was Little Rock. His surname was Shi, and his given name was Ming. That Ming character was Zhou Ming's Ming. He was the person he admired the most in his life. He was the person his mother liked. He was the person who taught him the sword Dao. A teacher for a day, a father for life. On the day Gusu was dyed with blood, it was the great devil Zhou who showed Shiming the true meaning of power. It had nothing to do with cultivation or the sword Dao. It was just a belief, a persistence that couldn't be erased even if he died 100 times. He might not be a match for Golden Light Ancestor and the others, but it was impossible for them to destroy his sect and take his wife. Shiming is here. Those who want to take my life, fight me. Shiming took a step forward. A weak sword intent suddenly appeared around his body. Although the sword intent was weak, it shocked everyone present. An early harmonious spirit cultivator had comprehended the sword intent that only spirit-severing sword cultivators could comprehend. Looking at Shiming's cold and sharp eyes, Golden Light Ancestor suddenly felt restless. This kid must not be allowed to live. The reason why he wanted to kill Shiming before was because of the death of a gold core cultivator in his sect. But now, he just wanted to get rid of future troubles. Shiming's aptitude made him feel fear. With my order, Golden Light Ancestor, the Green Sword Sect must be annihilated today, and Shiming must die. Anyone who dares to help the Green Sword Sect will be the enemy of my Golden Light Sword Sect. Men, slaughter the sect. Under the order of Golden Light Ancestor, thousands of sword cultivators who were hiding in the darkness of the night appeared on their flying swords, staring coldly at the Green Sword Sect below. The guests were so scared that their faces turned pale. They fled from the wedding hall, afraid that they would have any relationship with the Green Sword Sect. Tonight, the Golden Light Sword Sect wanted to annihilate the Green Sword Sect. No one could stop it. Tonight, Shiming, who was known as the #1 youth of Zhongshan country, would also fall. Uncle Zhou. Mother. Shiming closed his eyes and sighed softly. He was not afraid of death. His only regret was that he could not see Ning Fan and his mother before he died. In the next moment, Shiming opened his eyes in disbelief, looking at the two people who appeared out of nowhere in the night sky. A white-robed young man and a white-robed beautiful woman appeared in the night sky. No one saw how the two of them appeared. Uncle Zhou. Shiming's eyes that were always cold suddenly revealed a fiery look. In the next moment, Ning Fan and Bai Su landed outside the wedding hall. Ning Fan reached out his hand and patted Shiming's head, smiling. Little stone has grown up. Little stone. Bai Su's tears flowed down her face. The corner of Golden Light Ancestor's eyes shrunk. He didn't expect the Green Sword sect to have external help, and that external help was Shi Ming's elder. He glanced at Ning Fan, but couldn't see through his cultivation base. Then, he looked at Bai Su, and his heart sank. Peak Gold Core Realm, this is bad. I didn't expect Shi Ming to have a Peak Gold Core Realm elder. I'm afraid there will be a tough battle today. However, judging from Bai Su's weak chi, she shouldn't be someone who is used to fighting. Her combat power shouldn't be high. Fellow Taoist Bai Yun, how about we work together to take down this woman? Golden Light Ancestor sneered. All right. But after this, she will be my human cauldron. Old Ancestor Bai Yun licked his lips. A Peak Gold Core Realm human cauldron was not something that could be found anywhere. As soon as the two of them finished speaking, they suddenly met Ning Fan's cold eyes. What a cold and emotionless look. There was only cold killing intent in his eyes. He is my disciple. Ning Fan's cold voice exploded in the sea of consciousness of Golden Light Ancestor and the others like countless claps of thunder. Golden Light Ancestor and Old Ancestor Bai Yun's expressions changed drastically. The expressions of everyone present changed drastically. Nascent. Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. This person's voice alone can intimidate us. He must be a Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. Hu hubby, the Uncle Zhou that you always mention to me is actually a Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. Feng Feng Air was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. No. Uncle Zhou isn't a Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. He is. Shi Ming wanted to say that Ning Fan was a Spirit-Severing Realm Cultivator. But at the next moment, even he himself was shocked. Ning Fan isn't a Spirit-Severing Realm Cultivator. How could he just be a Spirit-Severing Realm Cultivator? A boundless aura force spread out from Ning Fan's body, causing the entire Zhongshan country to tremble. The mountains were shaking, the rivers were flowing in reverse, the earth was shaking violently, the sky was cracking and the void was completely disrupted. Void. Void Fragmentation Realm. The legendary Void Fragmentation Realm Cultivator. Old Ancestor Golden Light was scared out of his wits. Only a Void Fragmentation Realm Cultivator could cause such a phenomenon. Void Fragmentation Realm. Void Fragmentation Realm. It was a realm that he did not even dare to think about. A Void Fragmentation Realm expert could slaughter an entire low-grade cultivation country with just a single magic technique. How could he dare to offend such a person? Senior, this is a misunderstanding. Please listen to my explanation. Old Ancestor Golden Light's body trembled and begged for mercy. Ning Fan's expression was still cold. He slowly raised his hand and clawed at the sky. He did not need any explanation. All he wanted was for everyone who targeted Shi Ming to die here. With just the strength of his claw, an unimaginable destructive force immediately swept across the vast sky, turning thousands of cultivators of the Golden Light sect into mists of blood. The thick smell of blood filled the air. Each of the guests who came to congratulate Ning Fan kept quiet out of fear. There was even a guest who had been to the Middle State before. With trembling hands, he took out a portrait from his storage pouch. That was the portrait of the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. It can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. He is the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. He is the Rain Sovereign. Just a single sentence from him scared everyone to death. Not only was he a Void Fragmentation Realm old monster, but he was also the strongest person in the 9 worlds, the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. Greetings to the Rain Sovereign. Countless cultivators knelt on the Green Sword Mountain and kowtowed to Ning Fan. Ning Fan frowned. With a flick of his sleeve, all of them were directly lifted up. He turned around and looked at Shi Ming, whose eyes were filled with doubt. Then, he smiled and touched Shi Ming's head, acting as close as before. Uncle Zhou, you. Shi Ming had a guess in his mind. He guessed that his uncle Zhou was the dignified divine sovereign of the rain world. However, this guess was too shocking. He did not dare to think about it. Silly child. I will always be your Uncle Zhou. Today is your wedding day. I brought your mother here to visit you. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve. A gold core realm Dao fruit slowly floated down from the night sky. It was left behind by old ancestor Golden Light after his death. After thinking for a while, he took out a box of gold core realm Dao fruits from his storage pouch. That's right. It was a box. These are a token of our appreciation. Please accept them. Bai Su blushed. Was he that close to her? He actually said that. The sect master of the Green Sword sect was stunned. He had no idea that his son-in-law had such a terrifying background. The evil cloud rain sovereign. The evil cloud rain sovereign. A pill force like the Green Sword sect had actually become in-laws with the evil cloud rain sovereign. This made him feel like he was in a dream. Feng Qing'er, on the other hand, was very obedient. After entering the wedding hall, she pulled Ming to serve tea to Ning Fan and Bai Su. Let's treat Grandpa and Grandma to tea. No. It's not what you think. Bai Su wanted to explain the relationship between her and Ning Fan, but she did not know what to say. She lowered her head while blushing. Ning Fan took the teacup and gave Bai Su a meaningful look. He tasted the spiritual tea and nodded with satisfaction. This trip wasn't a mistake after all. Chapter 695. 3 days later, Ning Fan sent Bai Su back to Gusu. After staying there for another month, he returned to Yu country alone. He did not know what kind of earth-shattering changes had taken place in Zhongshan country after he left. Countless nascent soul realm, divine transformation realm and void refinement realm old monsters traveled to Zhongshan country to befriend the Green Sword sect. As for the reason, Ming was the son of the evil cloud rain sovereign. Was there any other reason to befriend him? Looking at the many old monsters who were flattering him, the sect master smiled bitterly. Any one of them was strong enough to wipe out Zhongshan country. They were existences that he could only dream of. This was unexpected. Originally, he just wanted to find a son-in-law who treated his daughter well. He did not expect to find a son-in-law with such a terrifying background. Ming stood at the peak of the Green Sword Mountain for 7 days. Husband, don't be sad. Father and mother will come back to see you. Feng Qing'er leaned on Ming and comforted him. She thought that Ming was missing Ning Fan and Bai Su. No, I'm not sad. I'm just feeling emotional. I've been chasing after that person's footsteps and desperately cultivated, hoping to become his arm one day. Now, I realize how difficult it is to catch up to him. Ming sighed. Husband. Feng Qing did not know how to comfort Ming. She bit her lips and remained silent. However, I won't give up. I will follow that person's footsteps and catch up to him step by step. I will become as strong as him. I will be strong enough to protect my loved ones from harm. I won't let him down. Ming's eyes were filled with monstrous battle intent. Feng Qing'er was mesmerized by his gaze. Husband can definitely do it. Qing'er believes in you. Recently, Su Yan, Gu Shinyang and Fen Qi were busy simplifying the devil marks of the 4 clans to make them more suitable for low-grade cultivators to inscribe. They were the devil concubines of the Misthorn clan, Ghost Eye clan and Six-Winged clan respectively. Naturally, they were proficient in the art of devil marks. Feng Shuyan was also a devil concubine, but she was just a freeloader. Sister Yan, Master is about to ascend. Don't you want to see him? In the Devil Marks Palace of 7 Apricot City, Gu Shinyang looked at Su Yan with pity. See him? What right do I have to see him? Su Yan sighed. How is it not qualified? Among the 3 of us, only you are qualified. Fen Qi looked at Su Yan with envy. Even though they were both devil concubines, Fan Qi and Gu Shinyang knew that Ning Fan had never fallen for them. He was only interested in Su Yan. Gu Shinyang begged Ning Fan to kill Elder Guimu. Ning Fan agreed and brought her away. As for Fan Qi, Ning Fan had brought her out from the Six-Winged Clan. From the beginning to the end, Ning Fan had been keeping a distance from the two of them. It was not that he did not treat them well. It was just that he did not have any feelings for them. I'm not qualified. Su Yan's eyes were filled with self-hurt. There were too many outstanding women around Ning Fan, but she was just the inconspicuous one. In the Mist Horn clan, she was saved by Ning Fan, but she was unable to repay him. If she could not return the favor, she would not be able to help him at all when he is facing a void fragmentation realm expert. What do you mean by not qualified enough? Ning Fan walked into the Devil Rune's palace with a faint smile. The three ladies were so frightened that they immediately stood up and greeted him respectfully. There's no need to be so distant. You guys continue with your work. I'll just watch from the side. I won't disturb you. Yes. The three girls obeyed and sat down again. They surrounded the jade table and repeatedly drew profound devil patterns on the paper. Ning Fan looked at him quietly and didn't disturb him. He hadn't inscribed all four races' demonic marks in the past, and he wouldn't do so in the future. His mageweth was the Mara mageweth, so he did not need these low-level mageweths. However, Ning Fan could not help but admit that the three of them indeed had a high level of attainment in the study of devil marks. After some modifications, even a vein-opening cultivator could carve a devil mark on their body to increase their physical strength. Among the three girls, Su Yan's attainment in demon crests was the highest. She was once the clan leader of the Misthorn clan, so her experience and knowledge were naturally not something the other two ladies could compare to. She was the one who had contributed the most to improving the mageweth. Gu Shinyang and Fan Qi were frowning. They did not have the slightest clue as to how to improve the devil marks. Su Yan, on the other hand, had a clear train of thought. She held the brush in her hand and improved the demon crests bit by bit. However, the mental toll was too great. Her face couldn't help but turn pale, and her forehead was covered in sweat. She was completely focused on designing the mageweth when her body suddenly tensed up. Ning Fan was holding a handkerchief and was wiping the sweat off her forehead. Don't do this. Su Yan was a little flustered. Did I disturb you? Ning Fan asked with a smile. No, Then you can continue with your work. I won't disturb you. Su Yan was speechless. Her mind had been completely messed up by Ning Fan. She could no longer concentrate on her work. Treat him like a tree. Treat him like a tree. Treat him like a tree, Su Yan chanted an incantation in her mind. Gradually, she cast Ning Fan to the back of her mind and started to design the devil marks again. Ning Fan's face was filled with black lines. He had the mind-reading technique. How could he not know what Su Yan was thinking at the moment? She treated him like a tree, all right. A tree it is. Just as Su Yan was concentrating fully, Ning Fan quietly held her hand and channeled his magic power into her body. Su Yan's pale face gradually regained its normal color. Then, it turned red. Can you leave for a while? Su Yan said helplessly. Did I disturb you? Ning Fan asked with a smile. No, oh. Then you can continue with your work. Don't mind me. After all, I'm a tree. Su Yan's face turned even redder. He had actually seen through her thoughts, feeling the magic power that Ning Fan channeled into her body. Su Yan felt sweet inside. Forget it. I'll just let him continue to annoy me here. There's nothing bad about it. The side of her face which was originally hurting herself now had a charming smile on it. Even though she was disturbed, Su Yan felt that her thoughts had become clearer. Before the sky turned dark, she finally completed the initial improvement of the devil marks. As for Ning Fan, he held her hand for the entire day. Su Yan gently withdrew her hand. She got up and stretched her body tiredly. Then, she performed the incantation gesture. Gu Shenyang and Fen Qi had already left. The moonlight in the Devil Mark's palace was dim. There were only the two of them. Your hand is very cold. I think you're feeling weak because you've been too busy recently. You don't have to rush to improve the Devil Marks. This matter will consume too much energy. You can take your time. Ning Fan looked at Su Yan with concern. His gaze made Su Yan shy away a little. Don't you have anything to say to me? Ning Fan asked with a smile. What can I say? Su Yan lowered her head without saying a word, like a resentful dragon lady. Her fine black hair was like a waterfall and there were two exquisite jade-colored horns on her head. She was rather adorable. Do you want to return to the Misthorn clan? If you're willing, I can remove the suppression on the clan. Before Ning Fan could finish his words, he met Su Yan's sad eyes. You want to chase me away, don't you? You clearly know that the Misthorn clan is no longer my home. I'm sorry. I saw that you're feeling down and thought that you're homesick. If you're unwilling to leave, this Yu country will be your home. No one will chase you away. Ning Fan smiled apologetically. He reached out his hand and played with the jade-colored horns on Su Yan's head. Su Yan's face turned red but she did not resist. If I die in battle in the Eastern Heaven one day. Ning Fan said indifferently. You can't die. Su Yan suddenly said nervously. I haven't finished my words. Of course, I won't die. What I'm saying is that if I die in battle in the Eastern Heaven one day, I wonder who else will be lucky enough to play with your little horns. Just to touch them often, I will also come back alive. Ning Fan was obviously flirting with Su Yan. It was very obvious. Su Yan looked at Ning Fan in embarrassment. What did I say? How could I have the right to say those words? Ning Fan actually tempted me to say those words. Rest early. This bottle of pills is called Formation Nourishing Pill. It has the effect of restoring your heart force. You often exhaust your heart force. It's good for your body to take one every now and then. Ning Fan passed Su Yan a pill bottle and stroked her cheek gently. Then, he turned around and walked out of the Devil Rune's palace. Su Yan's face instantly turned red. Looking at Ning Fan's back as he left, her eyes were blurred and she could not speak for a long time. When she recalled that year when Ning Fan hugged her to escape from the pursuit of the group of devils in the Misthorn Broken World, she suddenly became absent-minded. The pill bottle in her hand seemed to have become heavier. She carefully put it away as if she was keeping the most precious thing in her possession. Remember to go home. She muttered to herself in a very soft voice. She only dared to speak her mind after Ning Fan had gone far away. All right. Ning Fan's reply was sent back to the Devil Rune's palace. Su Yan's heart skipped a beat. She pursed her lips and ran back to her room. However, her face was burning hot. I didn't expect that the dignified clan leader of the Misthorn clan would also have such a girlish side. Interesting. Ning Fan returned to his room with a smile and saw a small black sable lying on his bed. Little Black, did you miss me? Ning Fan held the small black sable in his arms passionately and stroked its soft body with his palm. The small sable immediately revealed a human-like expression of shame and anger. Her body flashed and she turned into a naked woman. Pervert. Mei Chen glared at Ning Fan with shame and anger. Even though she had turned back into her human form, Ning Fan's hand was still grabbing her soft chest. Since that was the case, she might as well not turn back into her human form. At least, she would not be taken advantage of. Little Black, is there anything you need from me? TSK. Why would I look for a stinky man like you? Mei Chen struggled free from Ning Fan's embrace. She raised her hand and clothes appeared on her body. You need a Dao crystal to break through. Ning Fan could tell that Mei Chen's cultivation base was still a distance away from breaking through to the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, with the help of a large number of Dao gems, breaking through to the fourth level wouldn't be difficult. Mei Chen's face turned red. She really was here to borrow the Dao crystal, but she really couldn't say anything about borrowing the Dao crystal. She needed about 4 million Dao crystals to break through to the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Although 7 apricot cities still had 70 million Dao crystals, 4 million was not a small number. She was too embarrassed to take it. Even though Ning Fan had already given the order that Mei Chen could directly use the Dao crystal if she needed it, Ning Fan had already given her the order. "Little Black, don't treat me like an outsider." With a flick of his sleeve, Mei Chen lost her balance and fell into his arms. Ning Fan flicked his finger and Mei Chen exited her human form, transforming back into her sable form. While caressing the small sable's smooth fur, Ning Fan's mouth curved into a faint smile while the small sable was ashamed and resentful. Where was Ning Fan's hand randomly touching? Although she had turned into a ferret, ferrets still had their principles and chastity. As a demon pet, you have the obligation to sleep with your master. Ning Fan said righteously. Roar. The small sable protested strongly. Go to sleep. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and extinguished the candlelight in the room. He really hugged the small sable and slept for the whole night. He did not do anything bad. For the first time, Mei Chen doubted her own charm. Could it be that her beauty in her human form was not as good as her appearance in the sable form? Otherwise, why would Ning Fan hug her in her sable form instead of her human form? Nestling in Ning Fan's arms, the small sable gradually stopped thinking about this problem. Sniffing Ning Fan's scent, she unexpectedly fell into a deep sleep. When Ning Fan woke up the next morning, the small sable was nowhere to be found. After staying silent for a while, Ning Fan changed his clothes and went to look for other women. It was hard to predict when he would return to the Eastern Heaven this time. After all, he had to give everyone an explanation. He took out the jade slip of the sword word technique from his storage pouch and smiled. Then, his figure flashed and disappeared from the room. In the sword palace of 7 Apricot City. Within a stone chamber in the sword hall, a pink-clothed woman sat cross-legged on the ground while ceaselessly forming sword seals with a frown on her beautiful brows. Her cultivation base was at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Breaking through to the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm was just a matter of time. It wasn't that his cultivation was lacking, nor was it that his comprehension of the sword was lacking. It was that his heart was in a mess. Another attempt to break through the bottleneck ended in failure. Ting Xianro opened her eyes and wiped her sweat. Her eyes were filled with a sigh. Is he going to ascend? He once said that he would return my freedom after 500 years. I was skeptical at first, but now I see. He doesn't need me by his side for 500 years at all. At that time, he had yet to attain the void fragmentation realm. Thus, he needed my strength. With his current cultivation base, why would he need a helper at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm? I am already useless to him. That year, I was ordered by the Vine Sovereign to hunt him down. Although he didn't say anything, he must have hated me in his heart. Ting Xianro muttered to herself. Suddenly, a young man in white appeared in front of her, scaring her. You. Why are you here? Why can't I come? Ning Fan smiled and sat beside Ting Xianro. Ting Xianro knitted her brows and moved her butt to the side. Ning Fan followed her without hesitation. What are you doing here? Ting Xianro was speechless. Since she could not avoid Ning Fan, she stopped hiding and allowed him to stay close to her. Do you still remember the sword word technique? Ning Fan asked with a smile. His question made Ting Xianro feel guilty and annoyed at the same time. The sword word technique was the sword technique that she mistakenly thought Ning Fan used when they first fought. She felt guilty because she remembered the past when she hunted Ning Fan down. She felt annoyed because she found out later that Ning Fan did not know any sword word technique at all. Moreover, she admired Ning Fan a lot because of that. However, Ning Fan did not reveal the truth and accepted her admiration with a clear conscience. There is no such thing as the sword word technique in this world. Ting Xianro shook her head and said, "Let's make a bet. If I really know the sword word technique, you will stay in your country forever. If I don't, I will return your freedom and you can leave the rain world." As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and directly removed the Fuli demon restriction in Ting Xianro's sea of consciousness. Freedom. He actually really gave her freedom back. Without the joy of regaining her freedom, Ting Xianro actually felt a little bitter inside. She clearly knew that he did not know the sword word technique. The reason why he made this bet was probably just to find an excuse to chase her away. Indeed, she, Ting Xianro, was nothing when she no longer had any value to him. "Do you want to bet?" Ning Fan asked with a smile. "Alright, let's bet." "Alright, the bet is over. Since you don't know the sword word technique, can I leave now?" "Leave? Where do I want to go? If you chased me out of the rain world, where else could I go? Back to the tree world? Is that her home?" Just as Ting Xianro wanted to stand up, Ning Fan pulled her back and made her sit back down. "Where do you want to go? If you lose, you must stay in the rain world for the rest of your life. Look, this is the sword word technique." Slash. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned sharp. As soon as he uttered a word, the sound wave turned into sword light and shattered all 4 sword testing stones in the stone chamber. "You lost," Ning Fan said with a smile. "I lost? What do you mean? You want me to stay in the rain world forever?" Ting Xianro's heart skipped a beat as she stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. What does he mean? What exactly does he mean? Take it and study it well. Don't you like the sword word technique very much? Improve your cultivation base and be my cauldron in the future. Ning Fan passed the jade slip in his sleeve to Ting Xianro and casually ruffled her black hair. Then, he stood up and left with a smile on his face. He didn't chase me away. Ting Xianro held the jade slip in her hand and stood there in a daze. Suddenly, she recalled the latter half of Ning Fan's words and her face was filled with shame and anger. Cauldron. He asked her to cultivate painstakingly just to be his cauldron. Dream on. Although they had dual cultivated their sea of consciousness before, it was only because she was forced to do so. Her body was still pure. Probably, however, he actually removed the restriction on her. Was it because of trust? Ting Xianro let out a faint sigh. From the beginning to the end, she couldn't understand Ning Fan at all. What exactly is it that you are pursuing? She muttered to herself. Ning Fan went to Dark Sparrow's grave to visit Qing Dai and left her some puppets for her to study. After leaving the Dark Sparrow's grave, he naturally stayed in Sinister Sparrow's sect for a short while. He casually taught Xue Qing some pill refinement insights, just like what he taught Yang Gu on Pill Island. Gue Qiaozi and old ancestor Hui Yun were drinking and discussing the Tao. Ning Fan's arrival just happened to bring the 3 of them together. Gue Qiaozi was already a late nascent soul realm expert while old ancestor Hui Yun was a late nascent soul realm expert. As for Ning Fan, he was a void fragmentation realm expert. None of them were ordinary people. Thus, they naturally wouldn't care about the difference in cultivation base. Speaking of which, Gue Qiaozi could be considered as Ning Fan's father-in-law and a friend of the old devil. In terms of seniority, Ning Fan was actually 1 generation lower than Gue Qiaozi. After discussing the Tao, it was already late at night. Ning Fan left some pills and Tao fruits for the 2 of them and leisurely went to other places in Sinister Sparrow sect. Speaking of which, he was still revered Ning of Sinister Sparrow sect. The place he was going to was naturally the Bright Moon Lake. He knew that Lan Mei and Bai Lu would be waiting for him there. The night breeze blew gently. At the side of the lake, Two peerless beauties, one in blue and the other in pink, were looking at the lake with faint melancholy. They had already received the news that Ning Fan was going to ascend to the immortal realm. After this separation, they didn't know when they would be able to meet again. Memories flashed before their eyes. That year, there was a young man who entered Sinister Sparrow's sect. While their thoughts were wandering, Lan Mei suddenly let out a soft cry while Bai Lu harumphed angrily. At the next moment, both of them fell into a warm embrace. Do you want to say goodbye? Ning Fan asked Lan Mei. Lan Mei answered in a melancholic tone. Chapter 696. In the Ning clan of Haining, a white-robed man was burning incense beside a desolate grave. Ning Qingqing, who was now the head of the Ning family, had always been cold and aloof. She did not get close to any men, but she actually talked to this man in white for a long time. At the peak of the Cold Moon Mountain, in front of Hu Fengzi's desolate grave, there were more weeds. A white-clothed youth silently pulled out the weeds in front of the grave. After a long silence, he finally left. Outside the desolate mound of the Wei ancestor, a white-robed youth floated into the secret ground. After a long time, he finally left. No one knew that he had merely lit a stick of incense for the Wei ancestor's grave in the secret area. Tang Empire, Chang'an City. Outside the country guarding Marquis Manor, a young man in white stood there for a long time. Hey! This is the country guarding Marquis Mansion. Don't stand here and be an eyesore. Go, go, go. The manservant saw that the young man in white didn't seem to be from an official family of the Tang Empire, so his eyes were filled with disdain. The white-robed young man didn't say much. He just swept a cold glance over, and the gatekeeper was so scared that he fell to the ground. In the cold eyes of the white-clothed youth, he saw an extremely terrifying killing intent. It was too terrifying. Ninggu and Ran, you two are very happy now, aren't you? The white-robed youth smiled, turned around, and left. With a single step, he disappeared without a trace. Immortal. Immortal Master. The gatekeeper was so scared that he peed his pants. He had just flaunted his prowess in front of an immortal master. He was simply courting death. Little Four, didn't I tell you many times that I don't like servants? Why are you yelling at others again? By the way, who just came? A white-haired old man and a white-haired woman supported each other as they walked out of the manor. The appearance of the white-haired woman was somewhat similar to An Ran. The white-haired elder looked like Ninggu. Master, the person who just came was an immortal master. This lowly one deserves to die. This lowly one actually tried to coax him away. Will this lowly one be killed by the immortal master? I'm so scared. Master, save me. Maybe that immortal master will give you face and let me live. Xiao Si knelt on the ground, kowtowing to the old man. For some reason, when the old man heard that the newcomer was an immortal master, his heart suddenly ached. It was as if he wanted to remember something, but he couldn't. Master. The old woman immediately rubbed the old man's chest to make him feel better. Don't worry, madam. I'm fine. Little Four, don't be afraid. If that person wanted to harm you, he would have already done so. Now that he has left, it means that he won't pursue the matter of you offending him. However, today's incident is also a lesson for you. Next time, treat people more kindly. After the old man finished speaking, he looked in the direction where the white-clothed young man had left. I keep feeling like someone very important has been here and left. Who could it be? Ning Fan stood on the peak of a nameless mountain and looked back at Tang Country. His eyes gradually turned gentle. No one knew what he was looking at. After a long time, his body shook and he vanished without a trace. In the next instant, he appeared in the Southeast Cultivator Alliance. The Southeast Cultivator Alliance was the largest independent cultivator alliance in the Southeast continent, and Yun Ruowei was one of them. At this moment, Yun Ruowei was troubled by a headache. A batch of goods she was responsible for guarding was unexpectedly robbed by a group of unknown cultivators from the neighboring country. By relying on her own efforts and continuously completing the Southeast Cultivator Union's missions, she had already cultivated to the early soul formation stage. However, there were 3 divine transformation realm experts among the group of cultivators who robbed the goods. With her strength alone, she could not get the goods back. Should I ask the Union Master for help? Yun Ruowei bit her lips. She really disliked asking for help. Why don't you come and beg me? Let's go and get the goods back. All of a sudden, a man's voice entered Yun Ruowei's ears. Before Yun Ruowei could react, her slender waist was already grabbed by the person and they flew a great distance away in an instant. Who are you? Just as Yun Ruowei was about to question him, she shifted her gaze and saw the man's face clearly. Her face instantly turned red and she asked in a low voice. Why is it you? Why can't it be me? Ning Fan asked in return. Aren't you going to ascend soon? Why do you still have time to look for me? Oh. Miss Ruowei seems to be very concerned about my matters. You even know about such a secret. When Ning Fan ascended to the eastern heaven, only a few people in the rain world knew about it. Since Yun Ruowei knew about it, it meant that she had been paying attention to him all the time. There was a time when I passed by your country and I casually asked someone about it. Yun Ruowei said in a dishonest manner. What a coincidence. You actually managed to get such a secret information just by casually asking someone. It was true that Yun Ruowei had spent a lot of effort to find out about Ning Fan. It was not easy. We're here. Is this the place? Ning Fan stood on the clouds and looked down at the bandit village coldly. He said indifferently, hand over the goods of the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance within 10 breaths. Otherwise, die. His tone was very calm but it contained a terrifying aura force. As soon as the 3 divine transformation realm bandits sensed the irresistible aura force, their bodies broke out in cold sweat. They had clearly checked and found out that this batch of goods was only managed by an early divine transformation realm woman. How did such a powerful person suddenly appear to take back the goods? The 3 of them walked out of the village and looked at the sky. As soon as they saw Ning Fan's appearance, all of them were paralyzed with fear. As divine transformation realm bandits of the rain world, how could they not know Ning Fan's appearance? Those low-grade cultivators did not know much about it. However, they were still terrified after being suppressed by Ning Fan's aura force. Little ones, quickly put all the goods in the village into the storage pouches and give them to this person. We don't want anything. We have to give up all of our belongings. Our lives are the most important. Our lives are the most important. We don't want anything else other than our lives. Quickly, load them up. 10 breaths later, the 3 divine transformation realm bandits smiled apologetically and passed tens of bulging storage pouches to Ning Fan. Ning Fan looked at Yun Ruowei and signaled her to accept them. Yun Ruowei bit her lips and shook her head stubbornly. She did not want to owe Ning Fan a favor. Be obedient and accept them. Later, I will bring you to see someone. Who? My mother. Shameless. Yun Ruowei cursed in a low voice. Her face turned red. Ning Fan was actually bringing her to see his parents. What was going on? My mother is Ning Qian. Don't you know? Ning Fan looked at Yun Ruowei with a smile. What? Why you? You. Yun Ruowei was stunned. The 3 divine transformation realm bandits broke out in cold sweat. Yun Ruowei still refused to accept the storage pouches. They felt very uneasy. Let's go and see her. With a wave of his hand, Ning Fan kept all the storage pouches of the 3 divine transformation realm bandits and passed them to Yun Ruowei. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared without a trace with Yun Ruowei. He did not have any interest in dealing with mere divine transformation realm bandits at all. At this moment, the 3 divine transformation realm bandits finally confirmed that they had really survived Ning Fan's hands. When they returned to their stronghold, their legs had already turned to jelly. Stronghold Lord. Who exactly is that person? He actually has such a terrifying aura force. Just a glance from him almost shattered my nascent soul. One of the nascent soul realm bandits asked curiously. You're asking who he is? You just haven't seen his face, but you've definitely heard of his name. He is the evil cloud rain sovereign. What? He's the rain sovereign? Oh my god. We actually offended the rain sovereign this time. We actually survived after offending the rain sovereign. This is unbelievable. All the bandits in the stronghold rejoiced. Offending the sinful cloud rain sovereign and still being able to survive from the sinful cloud rain sovereign's hands, it was truly an inconceivable thing. How can you be? You're my sister's child. Then how can you hug me? How can you? Yun Ruo's mind was in a mess. Her delicate body gently struggled, trying to break free from Ning Fan's embrace. Ning Fan was speechless. Yun Ruo was not his mother's biological younger sister. What was there to be bothered about? Ning Fan flew all the way to Lanrua Temple. He did not use his rain technique to search for Yun Tianjue's whereabouts, but he could guess where he would appear. Lanrua Temple was the place where Yun Tianjue and Ning Qian first met. According to Yun Tianjue's personality, he would probably wait for Ning Qian to wake up at this place. Who is it? Yun Tianjue's eyes were filled with vigilance when he sensed a ray of escaping light rushing towards Lanrua Temple. After sensing the qi of the approaching person, Yun Tianjue's expression finally eased up. An unnatural smile actually appeared on his face. It was Ning Fan. Somehow, Yun Tianjue felt very happy when he saw Ning Fan. Even though he had no emotions, he still felt happy. Outside Lanrua Temple, a gigantic golden house had been built without anyone noticing. As for Yun Tianjue, he guarded outside the golden house every day, not allowing anyone to take half a step closer to it. When Ning Fan and Yun Ruo appeared outside the golden house, Yun Tianjue put away his unnatural smile and frowned. Ning Fan. What's wrong with your body? Being planted with devil sense and losing his 7 emotions. As soon as Yun Tianjue sensed that Ning Fan's body condition was not right, he felt a little angry for no reason. He actually had the urge to teach Ning Fan a lesson. How did he take care of himself? Senior Yun, you don't have to worry. It's just a small matter. Ning Fan smiled. He took out a pot of top-grade spiritual wine and gave it to Yun Tianjue. Wine from the sword world. Ning Fan added. Humph. Yun Tianjue kept the wine. He did not try to be polite, but he was still very angry that Ning Fan did not take good care of himself. Yun Ruo looked at Ning Fan and Yun Tianjue with a strange expression and transmitted her voice to Ning Fan. Why did you call him Senior Yun? Aren't you? He doesn't remember me. Just let it be. It's not bad, isn't it? Ning Fan replied. Yun Ruo's heart ached. She held Ning Fan's hand for the first time. She felt that it must be very painful for Ning Fan to be forgotten by his father. Naturally, she did not know that Ning Fan had always been an open-minded person. He would not be sad about such a thing. From Ning Fan's point of view, it was a great joy that his parents were still alive. It was not important whether they remembered him or not. It was enough as long as they were happy. Did you bring her here to see little Qian? Yun Tianjue asked indifferently. Yes. You guys can go in. I'll guard outside. Yun Tianjue's tone revealed his trust for Ning Fan. He believed that Ning Fan would not let Ning Qian suffer any harm. He trusted Ning Fan completely even though he did not understand the reason. The golden house was a high-grade heavenly dwelling treasure. It contained a pine forest. There was a blood pool in the forest and the demon cocoon that Ning Qian had turned into was inside. Inside the demon cocoon, the petrified winged demon had already recovered her human form. She was a rather beautiful woman in yellow robes. However, she was still in a deep slumber. No one knew how long it would take for her to wake up from this slumber. Sister! Yun Ruowei shouted in surprise. However, she knew that her voice was too loud and hurriedly covered her mouth. She was really afraid that she would disturb Ning Qian and affect her awakening. Even though Yun Ruowei did not know why Ning Qian was in such a state, she understood that this demon cocoon could not be broken easily and Ning Qian could not be awakened by external forces. Mother, I've brought Ruowei to see you. His tone was very normal. However, it sounded a little strange no matter how one listened to it. Yun Ruowei was Ning Qian's younger sister. However, Ning Fan's tone sounded like he was bringing his daughter-in-law home to meet his mother. Yun Ruowei really wanted to correct Ning Fan's words. However, she really could not find any mistakes in his words. When she thought about how lucky she was to be holding Ning Fan's hand, she was shocked and withdrew her hand. Ruowei, how about staying in Yu Country in the future? Yu Country is not far from Lanrua Temple. You can come and visit me often. I'm living a good life in the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance. Come to Yu Country. I'm really living a good life. Come to Yu Country. Ning Fan still wore a faint smile. However, that smile contained a hint of dominance. He wanted her to stay in Yu Country and not be ordered around by the Southeastern Cultivator Alliance. There was no other reason. It was just that he did not like it. All right. I'll stay in Yu Country so that I can visit elder sister more often. The Southeastern Cultivator Alliance has too many tasks. I'm really too busy. Yun Ruowei gave him a self-deceiving reason. That's right. Ning Fan nodded with satisfaction. At the next moment, Yun Ruowei hit him on the head. You even know how to hit people. Ning Fan was not angry. He was just surprised that Yun Ruowei had such a violent side. What's wrong with hitting people? I'm your aunt. Hitting you is to educate you. Do you still remember how you bullied me in Lanrua Temple in the past? Now, I'm going to pay you back. Yun Ruowei smiled faintly. She was actually very vengeful. Aunt, is it? The corner of Ning Fan's mouth curved into an inexplicable smile. At the next moment, he kissed Yun Ruowei's lips lightly. You. Yun Ruowei was embarrassed and angry. How could Ning Fan be so shameless? He even dared to disrespect his aunt. Even though she was not his real aunt, however, I'm going to accompany father for a drink. You stay here and accompany mother. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he turned around and walked out of the pine forest. Yun Ruowei was left alone on the spot. She only regained her senses after a long time. Stinky thief. You're indeed as despicable as before. If I knew that you're my daughter, I definitely wouldn't have let you become Han Yuanji's disciple. Look at what Han Yuanji has taught you. She touched her cold lips and felt that Ning Fan's warmth still lingered on them. Stinky thief. If I have the chance in the future, I'll certainly teach you a good lesson. Outside the Golden House, Ning Fan and Yun Tianjue sat cross-legged on the ground, drinking wine together. In the past, father and son had never talked much. All the instructions they gave each other were unspoken. I heard from third brother that you're going to ascend to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. Be careful. Protect yourself well. Don't always stand out from the crowd. Yun Tianjue had always been a man of few words. It was already rare for him to speak so much. Ning Fan, on the other hand, felt warmth in his heart. It was just a word of advice, but it was more precious than any treasure. He really wanted to call him father, but he did not say it in the end. Some things would only add to Yun Tianjue's troubles if he said it out loud. One day, he would reach that stage and help Yun Tianjue recover his memories. One day, drink. Drink again. Ning Fan knew that the time he would be staying in the Rain World was getting shorter and shorter. After staying in Lanrua Temple for 10 days, Ning Fan sent Yun Ruowei back to Yu Country. Then, he headed to the Middle State. Li Tsungtian taught him pill refinement techniques for the third time. This time, the teachings lasted for half a year. With Li Tsangtian's help, Ning Fan's pill refinement techniques naturally broke through to the peak sixth revolution. He returned to the underground forbidden area of the Directorate of Heaven Realm and stayed there for 7 years. 7 years later, Ning Fan left the forbidden area. No one knew that he had completed his third corpse transformation and his ancient devil cultivation base had officially broken through to the revered devil realm. Although he was a first heavenly layer revered devil realm ancient devil, his physical body was as strong as a second heavenly layer nirvana realm expert. Ning Fan left many Dao crystals for Li Tsangtian and Yun Bushu, hoping that their cultivation bases would improve further. Just as he was about to leave the middle state, Yu Cheng came to him. Ning Fan, my master wants to see you. Will you come with me to see her? Chapter 697. Your master. Ning Fan was slightly stunned. Of course, he knew that Yu Cheng's master was Yunchinga. Yunchinga's appearance was peerless and her aptitude was top-notch. Countless male cultivators in the Rain world admired her. However, this had nothing to do with Ning Fan. He rarely paid attention to this woman. Compared to Yunchinga, Ning Fan paid more attention to Yu Cheng. Along the way, he had quite a good impression of her. I know you're the Rain Sovereign and you're a busy man. You probably don't have time to meet my master. However, can you give me some face? Yu Cheng suddenly could not continue her words. Her cheeks turned red. What do you mean by giving me some face? What face do I have to make the Rain Sovereign come personally? I'm indeed very busy. Yu Cheng lowered her head in disappointment when Ning Fan stopped halfway. However, I have to give you some face. Ning Fan's teasing made Yu Cheng's cheeks burn. She was momentarily stunned and speechless. What does he mean? What does he mean? Why does he have to give me face? I don't understand. I just want to find a hole to hide in. You're still as interesting as before. Let's go and meet your master. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and the two of them instantly disappeared on the spot. Not long after, they appeared in the Thousand Illusion sect of the Thousand Illusion country. As one of the 4 void fragmentation realm experts, Yunchinga's other identity was the sect master of the Thousand Illusion country. Greetings, Rain Sovereign. When Ning Fan arrived, he did not conceal his aura force. Countless cultivators of the Thousand Illusion country soared into the sky. As soon as they saw Ning Fan, they cupped their fists and greeted him respectfully. How could they not be respectful? It had been too many years since a powerful Rain Sovereign like Ning Fan had appeared. Ning Fan's reputation had raised the status of the Rain world. As cultivators of the Rain world, they felt an unprecedented sense of pride. They respected Ning Fan from the bottom of their hearts. He's here. Yunchinga was taking a bath in her room and could not welcome Ning Fan at the moment. Just as she was about to get up and change her clothes to welcome Ning Fan, she saw Ning Fan waving his sleeve and bringing Yu Cheng to her room. Master, I've brought the Rain Sovereign here. Hee. Yu Cheng was about to push the door open without knowing what was going on. However, Ning Fan shook his head with a smile and held her small hand. Wait. What are we waiting for? Don't grab my hand. I. Yu Cheng felt as if her heart was about to leap out of her throat when Ning Fan grabbed her hand. Her face turned red and her mind went blank. All right. Ning Fan let go of Yu Cheng and waited outside. Even though there was a sense isolation formation in the boudoir, Ning Fan could still hear the sound of water from the room. He knew what Yunchinga was doing. He did not have any thoughts of entering rashly. It should be said that he did not have any thoughts about Yunchinga. After a long time, the door of the room opened with a creaking sound. Yunchinga was already dressed in her usual military attire. She greeted Ning Fan politely. Chinga greets the Rain Sovereign. Miss Yun, there's no need for that. Ning Fan nodded his head indifferently and entered Yunchinga's boudoir with Yu Chong. His eyes that looked at Yunchinga did not have the slightest bit of lust. In fact, they did not even linger for too long. In the beginning, Yunchinga did not have a good impression of Ning Fan because his disciples stole the spirit equipment. Later on, her impression of Ning Fan gradually changed. However, she still did not think that Ning Fan was a gentleman. However, Ning Fan's eyes were too clear at the moment. It was so clear that it surprised her. Is this the real Ning Fan? People say that he is lustful and has countless wives and concubines. However, there are only a few people who can really catch his eye. Miss Yun, may I know why you are looking for me? Ning Fan sat on a rattan chair at the side while Yu Chong sat beside him in a daze. She had not regained her senses yet. Chinga has a request. I hope the Rain Sovereign can agree to it. What is it? Chinga wants to know where the Rain Emperor's token in the Rain Emperor's hands came from. According to what Chinga knows, the Rain Emperor's token should have disappeared along with my father. Your father? Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly serious. Yes. My father is the previous Rain Sovereign, the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign. Since the Rain Sovereign can find the Rain Sovereign's token, you probably know where my father's remains are. Please tell me. As soon as Yunchinga finished speaking, she politely bowed again. Her eyes were filled with faint sadness. Ning Fan, however, remained unmoved. He just remained silent. Did this Yunchinga come to look for me just to find the remains of the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign? The Red Cloud Rain Sovereign is not dead yet. How can he find his remains? Ning Fan naturally knew the whereabouts of the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign. However, why should he tell Yunchinga about it? If he rescues the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign, the fact that he stole the time crystal in the past might be exposed. It might lead to a lot of trouble. Even though the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign had given Ning Fan the Sovereign Rain Primordial Art and the Rain Sovereign's token, these things were not considered a favor. It was not worth it for Ning Fan to take the risk to repay him. After thinking for a while, he decided not to tell Yunchinga about the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign's location. I obtained the Rain Sovereign's token by chance. When I got it, I didn't see your father's remains. Ning Fan said indifferently. Is that so? Yunchinga closed her eyes sadly. Yu Chong, who was at the side, however, regained her senses at this moment and pouted her lips in dissatisfaction. Ning Fan, you're lying. You've obtained my insect sovereign's blood. When you lie, I can feel it. You definitely know where the remains of the Red Cloud Rain Sovereign are. Ning Fan looked at Yu Chong speechlessly. This little girl can actually tell that I'm lying. The insect sovereign's blood. Ning Fan already knew what the little girl meant by the insect sovereign's blood through some channels. She had saved him, helped him and gifted him blood with a kiss. She stole spiritual equipment and gave it to him. She was so silly and adorable. This was also the reason why Ning Fan took special care of Yu Chong. He did not expect that her insect sovereign's blood would have such a special effect. The Rain Sovereign knows where my father's remains are. Rain Sovereign, please tell me. Yunchinga gritted his teeth and directly knelt in front of Ning Fan. If I can find my father's remains, I'm willing to become the Rain Sovereign's human cauldron. Master. Yu Chong became nervous. She hurriedly stood up and ran over to help Yunchinga up. Of course, she could not help him up. Yunchinga looked at Ning Fan with a pleading look. However, all he saw was Ning Fan's cold eyes. He was a heartless person. At least, he was heartless towards her. Plop. This time, Yu Chong also knelt down. Ning Fan's expression immediately changed. He stood up abruptly and flicked his sleeves to help Yu Chong and Yunchinga up. What are you doing? Humph. Yu Chong ignored Ning Fan out of spite. However, she did not feel any sweetness in her heart. It was useless no matter how her master knelt. Ning Fan's heart softened when she knelt down. She did not know what kind of affection was behind it. Anyway, she just felt happy. Yunchinga was stunned. Then, she looked at Yu Chong, with a bitter expression and smiled self-mockingly. She had really underestimated Ning Fan. It was not like Ning Fan would fall in love with any woman. Yu Chong could enter his eyes but she could not. Hong Yun is still alive. She's trapped somewhere. Ning Fan's indifferent voice entered Yunchinga's ears. It instantly stunned her. Then, tears flowed down her cheeks. Her little thoughts turned into nothingness. All that was left was joy. She had already guessed that Ning Fan had his reasons for not telling her the location of her father's remains. However, she did not expect that the so-called reason was actually this exciting news. The place where Hong Yun was trapped must be a secret place. Otherwise, Ning Fan would not hide it from her. However, Yunchinga frowned shortly after. Her father was trapped somewhere. Even with her father's sixth shattering realm cultivation base, he could not escape. It must be a dangerous place. She certainly did not have the ability to save her father. Rain Sovereign, please save my father. She was very smart. She did not ask where Hong Yun was trapped. Instead, she just begged Ning Fan to save her father. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. Before he could make a decision, Yu Chong smiled evilly and was about to kneel again. She even imitated her master's tone and said, Rain Sovereign, please save the former Rain Sovereign. Yu Chong felt that she must have lost her mind. She actually found it interesting to tease Ning Fan like this. Ning Fan's eyes darkened. He grabbed Yu Chong and stopped her from kneeling. Is it fun to kneel here and there? Is this little girl doing this on purpose because she knew that I would be soft-hearted towards her? I. Yu Chong was a little scared. Ning Fan seemed to be really angry. It seemed like he had gone too far. Ning Fan's eyes slowly calmed down. He looked at Yu Chong and said indifferently, I can save him. However, after that, he will no longer be the Rain Sovereign. You all have to understand this. For Yu Chong's sake, Ning Fan did not mind entering the Lost World Tower again to save Hong Yun. Of course, he did not want to save an enemy. If Hong Yun returned, would it trigger a conflict between the previous and current Rain Emperors? Moreover, Hong Yun knew that Ning Fan had stolen the time crystal. Therefore, even if Ning Fan manages to save Hong Yun, he would still erase his memories. There was one more thing he had to do before he could re-enter the Lost World Tower. Ning Fan decided to think of a way to replenish the time crystals of the 7th floor. He already had an idea on how to make up for it. After flying for 10 days, Ning Fan appeared on the Penglai Immortal Island in the external Endless Sea. Based on his relationship with Bei Xiaoman, he wouldn't need to pay to enter the Lost World Tower. Each entry would take at least a year, and before the time limit was up, one could not leave. As soon as he entered the 7th floor, he displayed the wind mist technique and began to tear the seal of the 8th floor. A few years later, he broke the barrier of the seal and entered the 8th floor again. There were 343 statues in this place. They were 343 Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets. These puppets were proficient in secret puppet formations. If they attacked at the same time, even a Shatterer Realm cultivator would die if he was caught off guard. One of the puppets was Hong Yun. Currently, Hong Yun's soul was attached to the spiritual puppet and he had already become a spiritual puppet. The moment he saw Ning Fan, he could not help but have an urge to burst into tears. This young man is here again. Is he here to save me this time? Before he could take a closer look at Ning Fan's current cultivation base, he saw Ning Fan directly walking towards the 7 stone platforms. He pointed his finger at the 7 stone platforms and 6 pieces of crystals were kept in his hand. Is this young man courting death? Hong Yun was shocked. From his point of view, Ning Fan was courting death by moving 7 stone platforms at the same time and taking the attacks of all the spiritual puppets in this place at the same time. Sigh. I've waited so long for this young man to come and save me. I can't imagine that this young man is going to die here as well. The statues began to turn into spiritual puppets. All 342 Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets locked their killing intent on Ning Fan. Hongyun's spiritual puppet was the only one that did not attack Ning Fan. That was all he could do. He still could not control his body freely. Seeing the 342 spiritual puppets raising their fists at the same time, trying to smash Ning Fan into pieces, Hongyun sighed and closed his eyes. This young man must die. Just as this thought emerged in his mind, Hongyun opened his eyes in disbelief at the next moment. All of a sudden, a black moon appeared in Ning Fan's left eye. In just an instant, all the spiritual puppets knelt on the ground. What a joke! Ning Fan could already subdue Void Fragmentation Realm spiritual puppets. How could mere Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets hurt him? Sixth heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. Hongyun was shocked. What he was shocked about was Ning Fan's terrifying cultivation speed. The Divine Transformation Realm Junior in the past had actually reached the sixth heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm now. Just how many years had passed? At the next moment, Hongyun lost consciousness. He was knocked out by Ning Fan and his memories were erased. It was not that Ning Fan was ruthless. It was just that there were some secrets that he could not let Hongyun know. Ordinary people could not make Hongyun's soul leave the spiritual puppet, but Ning Fan could do it. The black moon in his left eye appeared and extracted Hongyun's soul from the spiritual puppet. Then, he sighed. He could save Hongyun, but he did not want to get himself into trouble because of him. He only left Hongyun's memories when he was once the Rain Sovereign. As for the memories after he entered the Lost World Tower, he did not leave a single one. After keeping Hongyun's soul into his sleeve, Ning Fan looked at the 6 crystals in his hand. With a pinch of both of his hands, the 6 crystals became 7. Alright, the method Ning Fan used to make up for the 7th crystal was to extract some from each of the 6 crystals and condense them into the 7th crystal. He was not afraid that the Lost World Palace would investigate this matter. He just did not want to get into trouble. Once the crystals were divided, the time acceleration effect of each floor of the Lost World Tower would certainly be greatly reduced. However, this could also be attributed to the loss of the power of the crystals. After putting the crystals back into the 7 stone platforms, Ning Fan looked at the spiritual puppets on the ground. He did not have the intention to keep them. The cultivation level of these spiritual puppets was too weak and they were dispensable. However, they were the items of the Lost World Palace. Using the crystal guarding spiritual puppets of the Lost World Palace to show off was clearly telling others that he had entered the 8th floor and stolen the crystals. Ning Fan would not do such a foolish thing. He returned to the 7th floor. The time acceleration effect of the 7th floor was only 64 times, which was half of what it was at the beginning. For the remaining 60 years, Ning Fan would concoct pills and cultivate in this place. 1 year had passed in the outside world and Ning Fan left the Lost World Tower. Many cultivators complained that the time acceleration effect of the Lost World Tower had become weaker. However, this matter had nothing to do with Ning Fan. After returning to the middle state, Ning Fan handed Hongyun's soul to Yunchinga. After staying for a few more days, Ning Fan left the middle state. When Hongyun woke up, his eyes were blank. He did not remember what happened after he entered the Lost World Tower. Now, he only had his soul left. However, Hongyun was proficient in body seizing cultivation techniques. It was not difficult for him to seize someone else's body and be reborn. However, whether or not his cultivation base could recover to the Void Fragmentation Realm was a problem. Even so, Yunchinga was still filled with gratitude towards Ning Fan. As long as her father was alive, she did not want him to become stronger, nor did she want him to fight for the throne of the Rain Sovereign. As for Yu Chong, she kept blaming herself after Ning Fan left. She was very afraid that Ning Fan was still angry at her. She was just playing around with Ning Fan. The day of his departure was approaching. Ning Fan could not help but recall Lu Wan. She did not know that Ning Fan was about to ascend to the outer endless sea. When Ning Fan passed by the external endless sea, he wanted to go to the 9 divisions of the Lu clan to look for her. However, he realized that the place had already disappeared. The entire 9 divisions of the Lu clan had already ascended to the demon spirit land. Perhaps he could only meet Lu Wan or again when he goes to the demon spirit land in the future. Ning Fan stood in the 7 apricot city's night snow for a long time. His mind was filled with the memories of his journey. It actually made him a little reluctant to leave the rain world. However, he must continue on this path without any hesitation. He could not afford to stop. All of a sudden, Ning Fan heard the voices of a few little girls who were drinking. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. Drink. This is the spiritual wine that I stole from Brother Fan. Hee hee. This is my first time drinking wine. It was Ji Hee's voice. She sounded 90% drunk. It's so spicy. It doesn't taste good. It was Mu Xiaohuan's weak voice. Cough cough. It was the sound of the 6-year-old version of Mu Weiliang choking. Plop. It was the sound of Mu Xiaoliang collapsing on the stone table. You can't see me. You guys can't see me. It was Feng Shuyan's inner voice. She turned into a snowman and hid at the side to avoid drinking wine. The wine tasted terrible. She did not want to drink it. Plop. 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 Ning Fan heard the sounds of people falling to the ground one after another. In the end, even Feng Shuyan, who had turned into a snowman, could not hold back her curiosity. She drank a mouthful of the spiritual wine and fell to the ground gloriously. Ning Fan stepped into the courtyard and looked at the group of 5 who had fallen to the ground in a mess. He felt very helpless. He carried Feng Shuyan and the others back to their rooms. Eventually, he carried Ji Hee back to her room and placed her on the bed. The other few little girls drank less and were directly drunk. However, it did not take long for them to sober up. After all of them had cultivation bases. Only Ji Hee, the silly little girl, drank the most, which made Ning Fan's heart ache the most. She did not say anything. She did not say anything. All of a sudden, she really wanted to drink wine. She wanted to get drunk because her brother Fan was about to leave. She could not bear to part with him. However, she did not say anything. Silly girl, Ning Fan sighed apologetically. If it was possible, he did not care about his cultivation base. He just wanted to stay in Yu country for the rest of his life. However, there were still too many strong enemies in front of him. If he does not continue on his journey, he would not be able to protect anything. Ning Fan soaked a towel in water and boiled some hot water. He wanted to wipe Ji Hee's face and sober her up. After that, he wanted to give her some pills to sober up so that she would not feel uncomfortable when she woke up from her hangover. When he returned to the bed, he saw Ji Hee lying on one side with her body tilted. She looked extremely disobedient. Her fox fur coat had fallen to the ground. The belt of her undergarments had also been untied unknowingly, revealing her pinkish-red undergarment. Her fair and small hands were clawing at the outer part of her clothes in a daze. It was unknown why she felt so uncomfortable. Her brows were slightly knitted and her eyes were half closed, twisting her body. She murmured softly. "Brother Fan. Are you going to leave for a long time? Ji Hee will miss you very much." "I can't bear to leave you," Ning Fan's heart ached. He was also reluctant to leave Ji Hee and the 7 apricot city. However, how could he bring these girls with him? Should he let them follow him to slaughter? Should he let them witness the cruelty of the cultivation world? Or should he let them be imprisoned in the cauldron ring and accompany Ning Fan into danger? The rain world was very safe and peaceful. It was just that, there was no Ning Fan, sorry. Ning Fan sat on the bed and pulled a thin quilt to cover Ji Hee. Who would have thought that when the quilt was just covered, Ji Hee's small hand waved and the quilt was pulled to the side. She kicked her feet and one of her shoes fell off. Her plain white socks were half taken off, revealing a white and tender ankle. Then, she turned over and lied on her back. Her nose emitted a small humming sound. Her brows were knitted even tighter and her lips were slightly pouting like a coquettish rabbit. Brother Fan. He is willing to be your cauldron forever. Because if I am a cauldron, I can accompany you in danger, accompany you in life and accompany you in death. Her low voice made Ning Fan feel even more guilty. He gently turned over again. Her previously untied clothes were completely open. The undergarment was originally covered by the outer garment, so it was not visible. As soon as it was revealed, it was almost tilted to one side. On the other side, half of her fragrant shoulder was exposed. Even the soft snow on one side of her chest was not covered in the slightest. That captivating redness seemed to be cold as it trembled and slowly stood upright. It was too tempting, Brother Fan, he feels uncomfortable. She groaned in a low voice and opened her sleepy eyes. Her small hand grabbed Ning Fan's sleeve. Where do you feel uncomfortable? Ning Fan asked gently. Here, here and here, and here. He randomly pointed at her delicate body. Eventually, her finger pointed at her heart. That place was really uncomfortable. She really could not bear to part with Ning Fan, but she knew that everything he did was for her. All right, I will feel better soon. The bed curtain was gently lowered. Ning Fan took off his clothes and pressed it down. Brother Fan, go home early. He said with teary eyes. You are not allowed to die. 1 year later, the rain sovereign of the evil cloud rain world announced his seclusion. Few people knew where he went. Only a few people knew that Ning Fan had already embarked on the path of ascension. Those who went with him were only those cauldrons, that Nya Li and the tiny Mu Whalyang. The reason why he brought the tiny Mu Whalyang up to the sky was to find the immortal soul grass to help her grow up. He would never turn back even if the mountains and rivers were to remain silent forever. He would never let go of her even if the whole world was his enemy. Chapter 698. The sky was covered with a faint bloody mist, and the sun also emitted a blood-red light. Blood burial grass grew all over the bloody plains. A team of red-haired female cultivators were patrolling the bloody plain while riding a type of horned blood-colored horse. This team of female cultivators was not weak, all of them were soul formation cultivators. There were 19 of them in total, and all of them had serious expressions. That's strange. I clearly sensed that someone had entered our country, but why can't I see anyone? A late divine transformation realm female cultivator frowned and said. Could it be another spy from the other 6 nations? Another soul formation mid-stage female cultivator guessed. That's possible. The palace master's lifespan has come to an end. The flower devils of the other 6 nations will naturally become restless. Their goal is nothing more than master's relic. Humph, they really don't know palace master's good intentions. Master's relic is being protected by that ferocious creature. How can they take it? Not letting them take it is just for their own good. The palace master's character is still too weak. If I had the palace master's cultivation, I would have killed the rebels of the other 6 countries long ago. How could I have given them the chance to rebel? Shut up. Is the palace lord's right or wrong something that a servant like you can discuss? This subordinate knows his mistake. This subordinate dares not speak anymore. Humph. I will punish you when we get back. Let's go. A group of female cultivators came and went like the wind, and soon left. A long time after the women left, a white-robed young man and a frail red-haired woman suddenly appeared on the bloody plain. Palace master's time is up. What should we do? The red-haired woman frowned when she heard the news, her expression mournful. She looked at the white-robed youth beside her, and for the first time, a pleading expression appeared on her face. I beg you, please save the palace lord, just like how you saved me. Oh. You want me to pluck your palace lord? The white-robed youth looked at the red-haired woman with an indescribable look in his eyes. The white-robed young man was none other than Ning Fan, who had entered the blood slave garden. As for that red-haired lady, she was the red-haired human cauldron that he had subdued before. So be it. It's better than dying. The red-haired woman bit her lip. What's the cultivation base of your palace, lord? Ning Fan asked indifferently. Ninth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The red-haired lady dared not lie. She's not a bad cauldron, but why didn't she destroy her own cultivation base? That way, she could have saved her life. There's no need for me to pluck them. She won't cripple her cultivation. She will protect the blood slave palace even if she dies. She's too stubborn, is that so? Now, tell me all the specific information about the 7 countries in the blood world. Unless you promise to save the palace lord, otherwise, she is a good cauldron, I naturally won't waste it. Now, you can speak. Ning Fan said coldly. Okay, I'll talk. Ning Fan passed a jade slip to the red-haired lady. She recorded all the information she knew into the jade slip. After reading the information in the jade slip, Ning Fan's eyes flashed. The blood slave garden used to be the private garden of the slaughter hall's elder Fu Linglong. It was used to rear flower demons. One day, Fu Linglong suddenly made a mistake in her cultivation and died in the blood slave garden. All of her belongings were stored somewhere. Only the palace masters of the blood slave palace knew where it was. It was said that Fu Linglong had a private passageway to and from the Eastern Heaven immortal world, and it was at the place where the relics were stored. This passage was the main purpose of his trip. Of course, the entire void fragmentation realm cauldron in the blood slave garden was also one of Ning Fan's objectives. Among the 7 countries in the blood world, the blood slave palace was located in blood burial country. Only one of its palace lords was at the void fragmentation realm. The other void fragmentation realm experts had already betrayed the blood slave palace and built their own devil country. Among the other 6 countries, there were no less than 100 void fragmentation realm female cultivators. All of them were eager to obtain the relics left behind by Fu Linglong. Although their lifespan was limited, none of them was willing to destroy their own cultivation base. If they can obtain Fu Linglong's relics, they would certainly be able to restore their lifespan. Among the 100 void fragmentation realm female cultivators, the highest cultivation base was only at the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Even though there were many experts in the 6 countries, none of them had a cultivation base that was higher than the palace lord of the blood slave palace. Relying on the palace protecting immortal formation, the palace lord had blocked the attacks of the invading enemies time and time again. However, his lifespan had come to an end now and his life was in danger. If the experts of the 6 countries come to invade again, he might not have the strength to resist them. I'm afraid that the moment your palace lord dies will be the moment the blood burial country is annihilated by the other 6 countries. Ning Fan kept the jade slip and said. No. My palace lord is such a good person. How can he die? Those detestable traitors. They don't even know that my palace lord is risking his life just to protect them. They are a bunch of heartless traitors. The red-haired cauldron said angrily. Just now, those female cultivators said that there is a ferocious creature at the place where Fu Linglong's relics are kept. It's extremely dangerous. What is that ferocious creature? I don't know. I should say that no one knows what that ferocious creature is. However, that ferocious creature is indeed powerful. There were a few generations of palace lords who had cultivated to the rogue devil realm. They entered the secret place in an attempt to obtain the relics, but they were easily torn into pieces by that ferocious creature. A ferocious creature that can easily tear rogue devils into pieces. Ning Fan frowned. In that case, this mysterious ferocious creature really cannot be underestimated. Whether it is to find Fu Linglong's relics or to use the passage to ascend to the Eastern Heaven, he would need to confront that ferocious creature. That ferocious creature has at least a life immortal realm cultivation base. Even though Ning Fan was not weak, he did not think that he could survive a life immortal realm cultivator. Moreover, what if that ferocious creature's cultivation base is higher than the life immortal realm? My good brother, don't be afraid. That ferocious creature has a peak life immortal realm cultivation base, but it has yet to attain the true immortal realm. With my current cultivation base, it won't be difficult to kill it. Suddenly, a voice that he had not heard for a long time resounded in his mind. Ning Fan's eyes turned gentle. Little you heir, your primordial spirit, it has completely recovered. Even without a physical body, it can still exert the strength of the true crossing realm. If I can find a true immortal's corpse, I'm afraid I can recover my void-shedding realm cultivation base in one go. I can sense that there is a true immortal's corpse in this blood world which is being guarded by that ferocious creature. Fu Linglong's corpse. Ning Fan was not an idiot. He had already guessed the key point. Who is Fu Linglong? Speaking of which, why are you here? Luo Yu asked in surprise. Ning Fan closed his eyes and told her about his ascension and the information about the blood slave garden through his mind. Are you already going to ascend? A faint sigh resounded in the profound Yin world. With the pills given by Tai Wu, Luo Yu's primordial spirit had been completely recovered. There was also a true immortal's corpse which could be considered as a perfect female corpse for her to revive. As for Ning Fan, he ascended to the Eastern Heaven as soon as he left the blood slave garden. Is the Eastern Heaven the place where I will part ways with him? Are you 100% confident in killing that ferocious creature? Ning Fan asked again. So what if it's at the peak life immortal realm? I can kill it with just a finger. Luo Yu smiled enchantingly. If that's the case, there's nothing to worry about. Fu Linglong's corpse, her belongings, and the ascension passage are all here. No matter what, this ferocious creature must be eliminated. Little you heir, take a rest first. Don't exhaust the power of your primordial spirit before dealing with that ferocious creature. Ning Fan closed his eyes and communicated with Luo Yu using his mind. He stood still for a long time. The red-haired human cauldron did not dare to disturb him. All of a sudden, the sound of a horn resounded throughout the entire Blood Death country. Countless blood-red smoke beacons rose into the sky from all directions. Not good. The war has begun. The 6 countries have begun to attack the Blood Death country. The red-haired human cauldron's face instantly turned pale. The fact that the 6 countries had begun to attack the Blood Death country indicated that the Palace Lord was not far from death. I beg you. Hurry up and save the Palace Lord. She must still be forcing herself to protect the Blood Slave Palace. I beg you. Remove the shackles in her heart. The red-haired human cauldron hugged Ning Fan's leg and cried. Ning Fan slowly opened his eyes. He flicked his sleeves and lifted the red-haired human cauldron up. Then, he looked at the smoke beacons in the distance with a slightly solemn expression. He could vaguely sense that there were more than 100 void fragmentation realm auras rushing towards the Blood Death country. Is the Palace Lord of the Blood Slave Palace really going to die? How can I let the human cauldron that caught my eye die so easily? Ning Fan took out his ancient golden sword and carried the red-haired human cauldron on his sword, heading straight for the capital of the Blood Death country. The Blood Slave Palace was right there. The tiny Mu Whalyang was staying inside the cauldron ring. At this moment, Ning Fan no longer needed to hide his ruthlessness. He wanted to subdue all the void fragmentation realm flower devils in the entire Blood Slave Garden into his human cauldrons. In the Blood Slave Palace, a lady with red hair tied up in a bun was half leaning on the bed while being served by 2 female cultivators. Her face was extremely pale. The life force in her body was rapidly fading away. Am I going to die in the end? Unfortunately, there is no one in the Blood Slave Palace who can shoulder the responsibility of becoming the next Palace Lord and keeping the 6 countries in check. After I die, those people will definitely enter the secret place. They are courting death. I just want to protect them, but they don't know. The lady in the palace dress let out a long sigh. The other female cultivators at the side revealed a look of indignation. Humph. Palace Lord is being nice to them, but they don't know it. They only know how to bite the hand that feeds them. In my opinion, we should let them enter the secret place and let them be eaten by those ferocious creatures. Palace Lord, why don't you cripple your own cultivation base? As long as you cripple your own cultivation base, you can solve the flaw of the flower devil body. Another female cultivator asked carefully. No. If I lose my cultivation base, I will just be a cripple. What's the difference between that and death? If I keep my cultivation base, I can still protect the blood slave palace for a period of time before I die. By the way, is there any news about number 431? It has been so many years. Is there still no news about her? Number 431 was the name of the red-haired human cauldron that Ning Fan subdued. There's no news at all. The two female cultivators sighed. They knew that their palace lord was a person who cherished old friendships. Is that so? The lady in the palace dress closed her eyes tiredly. At the next moment, her phoenix-like eyes widened in anger. She heard sounds and bugles coming from all directions. She saw the entire country being engulfed in the flames of war. Great enemies were invading. I haven't died yet and they are already so impatient, huh? Cough. The lady in the palace dress was enraged. She turned over and got off the bed. However, she felt a sharp pain in her chest. She coughed out blood and her face became even paler. She wiped away the blood and walked out of the blood slave palace in anger. Outside the blood slave palace, countless female cultivators of her country had already died in battle. The void fragmentation realm experts of the 6 countries stood in the sky. With a wave of their hands, they could reap the lives of divine transformation realm and void refinement realm female cultivators. Oh. Number 1 is actually still alive. A beautiful woman with scales on her face sneered. Number 1 was the name of the palace lord of the blood slave palace. As for her, she was number 2. If number 1 dies, she could replace him. Stop it at once. Master has said that we flower devils are not allowed to kill each other. The lady in the palace dress rebuked angrily. Hee hee. Master has been dead for 6,400,000 years. As for us flower devils, we are no longer the batch that he raised. Why do we have to listen to his orders? Number 1, you don't have to use his name to suppress us. If you are sensible, cripple your own cultivation base and scram to one side. For the sake of our past relationship, we can spare your life. Another beautiful woman in black armor threatened coldly. She was number 3. She also had the cultivation base of the 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Have you all forgotten the teachings of our ancestors? Even if our master is dead, we must still follow all of his orders unless the next master appears. The lady in the palace dress said while clenching her teeth. Of course we haven't forgotten. We are here to look for our master's belongings and to solve the flaws of the flower devils. Moreover, we are here to look for our master's token to become the master of the blood slave garden. As long as we find the token, even a mere palace lord like you will have to serve us as your master. Another beautiful woman said coldly. There is only one token and one master. Which one of you is going to be the master of the blood slave garden? The lady in the palace dress replied with a cold smile. This. The expressions of many void fragmentation realm female cultivators changed slightly. They began to be wary of one another. The beautiful woman in the scale armor giggled and waved her hand. Sisters, don't be provoked by this bitch. Who will inherit the token is a matter for the future. Let's destroy the blood slave palace first, enter the secret place and seize the token. Then, we will fight for the position of the master. What do you think? Elder sister is right. We were almost provoked by this bitch. Kill her. Humph. Let's do it. More than 100 void fragmentation realm female cultivators activated their secret techniques at the same time. Rays of blood light hit the sky and it immediately rained blood. The lady in the palace dress was shocked. She immediately ordered, "All of you, quickly enter the blood slave palace. Don't get hit by the blood rain." As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately took out a blood-colored formation plate and activated a blood-colored immortal formation outside the blood slave palace in an attempt to resist the blood rain. Outside the blood slave palace, 1/3 of the female cultivators escaped into the formation light of the palace. As for the other 2/3, their bodies were drenched by the blood rain. Their bodies dissolved into blood water uncontrollably. In just a few breaths, at least tens of thousands of divine transformation realm and void refinement realm female cultivators had fallen. Since all of you disobeyed the master's last order and killed the flower devil sisters, don't blame me for being merciless. Exquisite blood formation, kill. The blood-colored immortal formation suddenly shone brightly. Countless blood arrows shot out from the formation light. Each of the blood arrows was powerful enough to kill a cultivator instantly. All the void fragmentation realm experts of the 6 countries turned pale. Only the beautiful woman in the scale armor sneered. She raised her hand and took out another formation plate. Exquisite blood formation, kill. What she said was exactly the same as what the beautiful woman in the palace dress said. As soon as she raised her hand, all the void fragmentation realm experts of the 6 countries were protected by layers of blood-colored formation light. That blood-colored formation light was exactly the same as the formation light of the blood slave palace. Countless blood arrows also shot out and collided with the blood arrows that came from afar. Gradually, cracks appeared on the large formation light of the blood slave palace. Cracks also appeared on the formation light of the beautiful woman in the scale armor. In the end, the 2 formations were broken at the same time. All the formation plates in the hands of the beautiful woman in the scale armor and the woman in the palace dress were destroyed. You actually have the second immortal formation plate that our master created in the past. The woman in the palace dress said in disbelief. Humph. If I didn't have this item, how would I dare to come and find trouble with you? Now that you don't have the protection of the formation light, even though your cultivation base is high, your lifespan has reached its limit. If you recklessly use your cultivation base, I'm afraid you will die even faster. Hee hee. Sister, go and die now. Go. The beautiful woman in the scale armor waved her hand. The hundreds of void fragmentation realm female cultivators behind her all rushed towards the woman in the palace dress with ferocious killing intent. The woman in the palace dress wanted to perform a hand seal and continue to resist. However, she felt a pain in her chest again. She coughed out blood and her eyes were filled with despair. I'm afraid that the blood slave garden is going to suffer heavy casualties this time. Yes, she would die. All of these void fragmentation realm female cultivators would enter the secret place and die. It was her incompetence as the palace lord that led to this situation today. Palace lord. A familiar female voice suddenly entered the ears of the woman in the palace dress. She turned her head in disbelief and saw a ray of golden sword light rushing towards her from afar. Within that golden light, there was an unfamiliar man in white robes and a familiar red-haired woman. That was number 431 who had been missing for a long time. Sister, you. She had too many questions that she wanted to ask the red-haired human cauldron. For example, where did she go for the past tens of years? Another example was how she was bold enough to bring a man from the outside world into the blood slave garden. Doesn't she know that this is against the ancestral teachings? Before she had the chance to ask, that golden sword light had already blocked the path of the hundreds of void fragmentation realm female cultivators. A man. All the void fragmentation realm experts of the 6 countries were stunned. They did not expect that a man would actually appear in the blood slave garden. Inside the blood slave palace, countless female cultivators were also staring at that white-robed young man in disbelief. They had never seen a man in their entire lives. Take this pill to your palace lord and let her consume it. It will save her life. As for these human cauldrons, I will collect them. He gave the red-haired human cauldron a pill and ordered her to descend to the blood slave palace. His cold eyes swept across the hundreds of void fragmentation realm human cauldrons in front of him. Cauldrons. In his eyes, all of these flower devils were high-grade human cauldrons. Humph. This man seems to be the helper of number one. Kill him. The beautiful lady in the scale armor ordered coldly. Before the hundreds of void fragmentation realm female cultivators could attack Ning Fan, he had already taken action. He took a step forward and turned into black robes. His eyes became even colder and merciless. He raised his hand and extracted and devoured their souls. His cultivation base was already close to that of a rogue immortal. At this moment, Ning Fan was even stronger than the palace lord of the Blood Slave Palace. Moreover, his techniques had a heaven-defying effect on female cultivators. Imprisoning rope. The black-robed Ning Fan made a grabbing motion with his large hand. Hundreds of imprisoning ropes flew out from his sleeves like silver snakes and flew towards each of the void fragmentation realm female cultivators. At this moment, Ning Fan's cultivation base had far surpassed the female cultivators on the scene. No one could escape from his imprisoning rope unless they were immortals. Bind! 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 Each of the void fragmentation realm female cultivators was tied up by the imprisoning rope and thrown outside the Blood Slave Palace by Ning Fan without any mercy. It doesn't matter if one of them is broken, 2 of them are fine. Even if they are broken into 5 or 6 pieces, they can only be tied up obediently. The black-armored beautiful lady was terrified. She turned around and wanted to run away, but Ning Fan grabbed her and threw her to the ground. The scaly beautiful lady was scared to death. Ning Fan's current cultivation base was comparable to a rogue immortal. However, his combat power against female cultivators was almost comparable to a life immortal. It was a deadly restraint. She did not have any strength to resist at all. She gritted her teeth and took out a formation disc, trying to teleport away. However, Ning Fan raised his hand and crushed the formation disc. He then tied her up with the rope and carried her like a little chick. After keeping the ancient golden sword, Ning Fan landed on the ground. His eyes indifferently scanned across the female cultivators on the scene and eventually, his gaze fell on the lady in palace attire. You are not the master of the Blood Slave Garden. Let them go. You don't have the right to pluck them. The lady in palace attire reprimanded him sternly. She was not a fool. How could she not see that Ning Fan was an enemy and not a friend? Even if he saved the people of the Blood Slave Palace, it was definitely not out of kindness. Interesting. What if I become the master of the Blood Slave Garden? If you become the master of the Blood Slave Garden, you can naturally pluck all the human cauldrons in this place. We were born to be human cauldrons for our master. As you wish. Ning Fan casually threw the scaly beautiful lady on the ground and instructed the red-haired human cauldron beside him. Tell the people of your Blood Slave Palace to keep a close eye on these traitors. As for you, Ning Fan's gaze shifted to the lady in palace attire and gave her a rare smile. Bring me to the secret place. I will look for your messenger now and become the master of your Blood Slave Garden. He still admired women with backbone. There are no more updates. Everyone, go to bed early. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.